Chapter 746. Late at night, the jungle was quiet, only the sound of dew on the branches falling on the tent could be heard. Lin Muyu was lying alone in the tent. Her divine power was concentrated in her sea of consciousness. Her spiritual sense turned into invisible telekinesis that penetrated thousands of miles and found Tang Xiaoxi's aura above the shattered cauldron realm. She tried to communicate with her. Tang Xiaoxi woke up from her dream. She closed her eyes and smiled happily. Moo! Lin Muyu also smiled. Xiaoxi, I haven't contacted you for a long time. Why are you not in Heaven-Reaching Gorge but near Heaven-Reaching City? How's the Longdan army camp? Everything is going well. Tang Xiaoxi said happily. I just got the military report from Duke Wei tonight. Longdan army camp shelled the barren battlefield in the north of Heaven-Reaching Gorge and killed nearly 30,000 armored demons. Now Qianfeng has fled. The whole Heaven-Reaching Gorge has fallen into our hands. Wei Chou is still asking me about the next step. Lin Muyu sighed. To the north of the Heaven's Gorge is the Eight Wastelands, a place that the demon race has managed for tens of thousands of years. At this time of year, the snow on the Eight Wastelands has already melted. It's said that there are still 100,000 well-trained demon race cavalry in the Eight Wastelands, so there's no need to rush. Order Wei Qiu to build a fortress and seal the entrance to the Heaven's Gorge. Order Wei Ho, Min Yulin, and Feng Shi to lead the army to guard this fortress together, so that the demon race can never enter the Heaven's Gorge again. I got it. What about you? How are you doing? I'm being chased. Tang Xiaoxi looked worried. I'll go to the celestial pole continent tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll worry about you every day. I don't know how you're doing there and whether you're in danger. No need. You'll still be in danger. Xiaoxi, listen to me. You can stay in the Empire. Although it's dangerous here, I can still protect myself. By the way, how is the expansion of the Imperial Navy going? It is said that General Feng has returned to Lanyan City to preside over the overall situation. He is secretly building a giant fortress ship wrapped in iron sheets. I don't know the details. Oh, I see. Lin Muyu pondered, thinking that the iron-smelting technology of the Qin Empire seemed to have reached the stage of developing steam engines. If they really entered the era of steam, they might be able to contend against the celestial pole continent. Unfortunately, although he knew what the steam engine was, he was unable to draw the schematic diagram of its operation. It had been a long time since Lulu had appeared in his brain domain. Ever since he obtained the Supreme Godhead, Lulu's connection with him had been cut off, and he couldn't summon her. Could it be that the Supreme Godhead had destroyed the chip that Lulu was living in? In fact, Lin Muyu could no longer see the chip when she looked inside herself. Perhaps, when she was reborn, the chip had already disappeared. Moo. At this time, Tang Xiaoxi's voice was a little greasy. I miss you. I miss you. Lin Muyu answered very decisively. When Tang Xiaoxi was by his side, she always brought him warmth and a sense of home. But now, for the future of the Qin Empire, he could only drift outside. I still have something to do here. Let's contact each other later. Lin Muyu suddenly thought of another way. Tang Xiaoxi nodded with a smile. Come back early. Okay, I will. Summoning back his telekinesis, Lin Muyu took a deep breath. Nearly 20% of his divine power had been consumed. Sure enough, using telekinesis to communicate with him really consumed a lot of divine power. One could imagine how much divine power the 7 luminaries demon emperor had consumed when he sent down the oracle to communicate with him from the heaven. The road of cultivation was endless, and no one knew where the end was. Taking out a 5th-grade demon spirit stone from the Qiankuan bag, Lin Muyu gently exerted strength in his palm. Suddenly, the demon spirit stone spun rapidly in his palm, disintegrating inch by inch. Soon, it had turned into energy particles. He absorbed them one by one, and in less than 2 hours, he had completely refined them. The divine power in his ocean of qi began to fill up, and the divine power consumed by using telekinesis to communicate with him had all been recovered. His cultivation also seemed to have improved by 1 level, but it was very little. It seemed that refining the demon spirit stone too frequently could not improve his cultivation rapidly. However, now that his divine power was replenished, Lin Muyu could try again. He wanted to use his divine power to penetrate through the multiple planes walls and find his hometown, Earth. Closing his eyes, he took a deep breath. His sovereign lattice actually trembled slightly, as if it was excited about this bold attempt. Swoosh! A beam of light invisible to the naked eye pierced through the tent and shot straight into the sky, heading towards the other star regions. Lin Muyu seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning. His surroundings were filled with four-dimensional areas. He frowned. The direction of Earth was so far away, but he knew it was there. That was the home that he had been longing for. PFFF, PFFF, PFF. The body formed by telekinesis kept penetrating through the plane's walls, creating loud bangs. It was unknown how many layers of planes he had penetrated. Finally, the view in front of him became clear. Lin Muyu felt his body continuously falling, and below him was a dense fog. It's not fog. It's the atmosphere. However, Lin Muyu had no idea who he was looking for, and he had no idea where he would land on Earth. What if he landed in France? After all, he didn't understand French. Forget it, I'll just try my luck. I'll just find the person with the strongest aura on this planet. He frowned, and under the guidance of the Force, his body directly fell to a certain place on Earth. He penetrated through the atmosphere and pushed away the clouds. Below him was a dazzling city, and it was a very prosperous city. Lin Muyu couldn't tell where this city was until he was about 500 meters away from the ground. From afar, he saw the words on the building, Hangzhou Sofitel Westlake Hotel. This is Hangzhou. Lin Muyu almost burst into tears. This is China, my hometown. Following the aura, he landed in a villa not far away. Lin Muyu took a closer look. That's right. In the garden of a villa, there were many dim lights. Under the grape trellis, a young man was reading a book with a frown on his face. There was also red wine and a few gaming magazines on the table beside him. Could it be this person? With a whoosh, Lin Muyu landed and condensed his body with his telekinesis so that the other party could see a mighty divine power descending from the sky. A golden pillar of light rose into the sky, surrounded by holy light and lines of golden ancient characters. This entrance was extremely cool. Huh! The young man sitting under the rattan trellis frowned. Very quickly, he raised his hand and pulled out the sharp sword on the sword rack beside him. He shouted in a low voice, "Who's there?" His movement technique was quite impressive. With a single stride, he was already close to 10 meters away. The power in his arms was injected into the longsword, causing it to burn bright red. Moreover, a formless domain aura spread out. How astonishing! Lin Muyu frowned. She didn't expect people on Earth to have such cultivation. This guy was at least at the second level of the Saint Realm. The flame on the blade was clearly a variant of the king's fighting flame. Unfortunately, there was no independent system of cultivation on Earth. Back then, God Emperor Fuxi seemed to only impart culture and not martial arts. Otherwise, there would probably be more disputes. In the golden light, Lin Muyu stepped out. His face was full of a friendly smile. "Hello, what's your name? I want to ask you for a favor. Is that possible?" The long sword in the other party's hand was still trembling. Streams of power were ready to be released. He stared at Lin Muyu and said, "My name is Li Xiaoyao. Where are you from?" Lin Muyu smiled. "Li Xiaoyao? Isn't this the name of Brother Xiaoyao in the legend of Sword and Fairy?" "Ha, interesting. Oh, I want to ask for your help." "Why should I help you?" Li Xiaoyao seemed to realize that if he used a sword, he definitely wouldn't be a match for the stranger in front of him. He raised his hand and pulled out a gun from his thigh. The black muzzle was pointed at the other party. "You are a police officer? You actually have a gun." Lin Muyu frowned. "If you are a police officer, it will be even easier. I am not some alien. I am also a Chinese." "Nonsense." Li Xiaoyao raised his eyebrows. "Chinese basically don't know how to fly. Furthermore, the special characteristics of your power don't belong here at all. What are you trying to do? Speak, or I will shoot. This is a nanobullet. It has strong penetrative power. You better think it over." As the captain of the Hangzhou Special Operations Team, I order you to put down your weapon. Lin Muyu was about to cry. She raised her hand and sheathed the Ice Origin sword. She spread her hands and said, "You see, I am also a Chinese. My home is in Shanghai. My father is called Lin Shun. My brother is called Lin Yan. I am called—" Wait. Li Xiaoyao was stunned. He interrupted Lin Muyu's words. He lightly rolled the gun and put it back into the gun holster beside his thigh. He said, "Your father is called Lin Shun? So you are the Lin Ji who has been missing for several years. The god of war Lin Muyu in the conquest game?" "Yes, that is me. Brother, do you know me?" Lin Muyu was wild with joy. Li Xiaoyao nodded lightly. "After you left, I dominated the virtual world." As he said that, Li Xiaoyao frowned and said, 2 years ago, the artificials caused panic in Shanghai, Hangzhou, Beijing and other cities. Since you have such great ability, why didn't you come out?" Lin Muyu complained bitterly, "It's not that I don't want to help. It's just that I am not in this dimension." "Not in this dimension? What do you mean?" Li Xiaoyao asked. "How do I explain it? Actually, I went to another world." "You died." Li Xiaoyao was shocked. Lin Muyu was about to faint. "Not really. Brother, don't talk about these useless things. Help me get some information about the theory and structure of the steam engine. I urgently need it." "Is that so?" Li Xiaoyao nodded and smiled. "Okay, then wait here. I will go get the iPad from the lobby. You can go online and look it up." "Hey, hurry up." "Yes." Li Xiaoyao flew down the stairs and entered the lobby. When he stepped on the stairs, a girl's scream came from not far away. What happened, One Air?" He turned pale with fright. Chapter 747. In the kitchen, a beautiful girl was sitting on the floor. A few potatoes had rolled all over the plastic plate beside her. Li Xiaoyao stood at the door, stunned. "One Air, what's wrong?" One Air raised her head. "Dong Cheng is too diligent. He made the floor so slippery. I wanted to make a plate of green pepper and potato strips for you, but I slipped and fell. How could you be so careless?" Li Xiaoyao helped his girlfriend up and massaged her knees. "You could have just ordered takeout. Why did you have to do it yourself? The meaning is different." Okay, you're right. Oh right, where are Dong Cheng and Shui Ro? They went to buy groceries. They said they wanted to cook a good meal. Little Wolf, Old K, and the others are coming later. Alright, Meng Yao will be coming too. "Oh, they're here to eat again?" Li Xiaoyao laughed. He hugged his girlfriend's waist and pinned her against the wall. One Air's face turned red. "Hurry up. Dong Cheng and Mat Cha will be back at any time." "That?" Li Xiaoyao muttered. "The what? I feel like there's something I forgot to do." "Humph, you have the nerve to be the captain with that kind of memory." Upstairs, Lin Muyu could naturally see everything with her observation skills. She frowned and muttered to herself, "That girl looks familiar. Could she be the legendary Tsong Tong? That can't be right. She was already an adult when I left. But I've been in the Shattered Cauldron realm for more than 10 years. Why is she still so young? Could there be something wrong with the time?" That could only be explained by the staggered opening of the 5th dimension. 10 years in the Shattered Cauldron realm was only a few years on Earth. Lin Muyu frowned. She suddenly felt her spiritual power rapidly depleting. In the blink of an eye, she could no longer maintain her telekinesis power in this dimension. It was as if a huge black hole had appeared behind her and was sucking her back. F***CK, what should I do? He desperately circulated his divine power to defend himself, but how could he defend against this dimensional energy? Just as the telekinesis was sent back to the Shattered Cauldron realm's plane, Lin Muyu wailed and said unwillingly, "Li Xiaoyao, I'm not done with you." Sha sha sha. Amidst the sound of footsteps, Lin Muyu walked to the balcony with the latest tablet in his hands. He looked around in a daze. Lin Ji had disappeared. He looked as if he had seen a ghost. He couldn't help but scratch his head. What the F***CK? Am I dreaming? Should I tell old Master Lin Shun about this? Forget it, there's no need to tell him. It'll only add to his troubles. As long as Lin Ji has a conscience, he'll come back to fulfill his filial duties. The forest in the eastern part of Nine Dragon City was filled with spring flowers. When the morning light shone on the forest, the rabbits came out to look for food. The air was filled with the sound of birds flapping their wings. It was as if the forest had suddenly come alive from the silence of the night. Lu Bai had woken up early and was making breakfast. Naturally, the main ingredient was wolf falcon meat. As a young miss, Si Kong Yao should have been watching from the side and waiting to eat. However, it seemed that after she decided to join this adventurer team, she became a lot more diligent. She actually tied Lu Bai up to gather some firewood. At this moment, a voice came from the tent beside them. Li Xiaoyao, I'm not done with you. Si Kong Yao and Lu Bai were stunned at the same time. Who is Li Xiaoyao? Si Kong Yao. I don't know, but it must be a man. Young hero's taste is getting weirder and weirder. That's right, I can even dream of a man in my dreams. No wonder he didn't even look me in the eye, even though I'm a natural-born beauty. Si Kong Yao praised herself in high spirits. Lu Bai turned around and looked at the young lady's towering chest. He smacked his lips and said, You're indeed a natural beauty. Don't look. Si Kong Yao raised her eyebrows and said with a murderous look, I'll dig your eyes out if you keep looking. You're a natural beauty and you can't even look at me. Is there any justice in this world? Lu Bai complained in a low voice. Si Kong Yao smiled faintly. You can't even beat me. How dare you look at my chest? Lu Bai was speechless. So you're saying that I can look all I want? Lin Muyu opened the tent's door and said with a smile. Si Kong Yao also smiled. You should just look at Li Xiaoyao's chest. Si Kong Yao, I'm going to kill you. In the early morning, the forest was filled with laughter and cheers. The vigilance between them seemed to have lessened as they got along. Just as Lin Muyu and the others were eating breakfast, thunder suddenly rumbled in the sky. A ray of light shone into the forest and condensed into Ziyao's figure. This was her teleportation. Fairy Ziyao. Lin Muyu hurriedly stood up and bowed respectfully. Ziyao's gaze was filled with blame as she said, You're too rash. You actually dared to traverse over 3,000 planes to search for the direction of Earth with such a tender godhead. Are you tired of living? If it were someone else, their sea of vital energy would have exploded in the Plain Power Valley and lost all their cultivation. Lin Muyu naturally knew that she was too rash last night. At this moment, there was not much divine power left in her body, not even 20%. She was about to become a weak chicken. Thus, she humbly accepted the lesson and said, I won't dare to do it again. At the side, Si Kong Yao's mouth was wide open. Naturally, she knew that this woman in front of her was very powerful. She knelt on the ground and said, Si Kong, greets the God Emperor Goddess. Miss Si Kong, please rise. Although I haven't seen you before, I've heard of you. You're indeed a natural beauty. Ziyao was very good with words. Si Kong Yao was secretly happy. Thank you for your praise, goddess. All right, I have to continue cultivating. I'll take my leave first. Ziyao frowned and looked at Lin Muyu. Be careful in the future. If you encounter something you don't understand, just call me or the Demon Emperor's name. Do you understand? Yes, I understand. Go back quickly. Maintaining telekinesis consumes too much divine power. At least you know what's good for you. I'm leaving. With a swoosh, a rainbow light flew past. Ziyao's figure disappeared. In fact, she had never been here. What came was just a wisp of consciousness. Lu Bai was dumbfounded the whole time. At this moment, he finally recovered and said, Young hero, could this be the legendary goddess of the god realm? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and patted Lu Bai's shoulder. Moreover, it's the goddess who rules over hundreds of planes. But don't even think about it. You're so weak. You'll never be able to pursue such a goddess. Lu Bai's face was full of tears. I want to follow you and cultivate well, teacher. The next day, after entering Tianji province, the three of them hurried on their journey. Finally, they arrived at a small town on the official road before the sky turned dark. From afar, Si Kong Yao was in high spirits. She said, There's an inn in front called Flight of Phoenixes Inn. When I was very young, my grandfather brought me to stay here. It was very fun. Every night, there would be acrobats performing here. Today, we'll have a good look. Also, I want to introduce you to a new friend. A new friend? Lin Muyu squinted. Is it a girl? How did you know? Didn't you say it before? I said it before. Si Kongyao was confused. Further ahead was the small town. Strictly speaking, this was a very commercialized town. The entire town was made up of inns, pubs, blacksmiths, and so on. There was not a single resident. The inns were used to provide accommodation for the traveling merchants, the pubs were for the travelers to pass the time, and the blacksmiths were for the mercenaries and cultivators to forge and repair weapons. There were about 20 inns in the whole town, which showed how prosperous the Tianji Empire was. Among the 20 inns, there was one that stood out from the rest. The Flight of Phoenixes Inn covered an area that was 3 to 5 times that of other inns. It used colorful glazed tiles and the floor was paved with expensive pine rocks. There were even dozens of guards standing outside the door. Each of them was wearing the red cloud badge of the Tianji Empire. It could be imagined how powerful the inn's background was if it could mobilize the army to maintain law and order in a small inn. As if seeing the confusion on Lin Muyu's face, Si Kongyao chuckled and said, Flight of Phoenixes Inn only serves nobles of the 4th class and above and businessmen who are as rich as a country. Ordinary people can't enter. Oh, I'm an ordinary person. I won't go. Lin Muyu was a little lonely. Don't. Si Kongyao took his arm and said with a smile, You're my guest. If this Flight of Phoenixes Inn doesn't receive you, I'll make them suffer the consequences. Lin Muyu smiled and asked, Is it free to stay here? Yes, it's free. Si Kongyao had a look of disdain on her face. She thought to herself, how can a person with at least the cultivation of a Saint Martial Venerable be so useless? It should be known that the Tianji Empire holds martial arts very highly, especially for cultivators at the level of 3 saints. The treatment of a Saint Martial God was the same as that of a prince, and the treatment of a Saint Martial King was at least the same as that of a duke. As for a god-level Saint Martial Venerable, he was at least a second-class noble. After turning down the offers from many inns along the way, the 3 of them went straight to the Flight of Phoenixes Inn. A fat innkeeper quickly went up to them. He didn't seem to know Si Kongyao. He just asked with a smile, May I know where the 3 of you are from and what's your identity? Si Kongyao took out a crystal token and waved it in front of the innkeeper. The fatty looked stunned. It's the crystal token of the Tianji sect? Oh my god, you must be Lady Si Kongyao of the Tianji sect. I have eyes but failed to recognize you. Please come in, please come in. As he spoke, his gaze fell on Lin Muyu and Lu Bai. These 2 people looked extremely poor. He asked, Lady, these 2 are? They're my friends. Do they have the right to stay here? Si Kongyao asked calmly. Yes, yes, the fatty nodded repeatedly. Please come in, please come in. Lu Bai glared at him. Damn it, I feel like I've made a name for myself today. After entering the inn's lobby, a few maids came up to them and handed them handkerchiefs to relieve fatigue with smiles on their faces. Si Kongyao looked around and asked, Is the young mistress of the Shang family here? The young mistress of the Shang family? The fatty was stunned. He smiled and said, You mean, the granddaughter of the Imperial General Zhang Cheng, Miss Shang Qian? That's right. She's here, she's waiting for you in the lobby. Lead the way. Yes. Chapter 748. The granddaughter of the Empire's sacred martial god, Zhang Cheng? Lin Muyu was dumbfounded. How long has it been since I came to the Tianji Empire? I've already seen so many amazing people. Si Kongyao is the granddaughter of Si Kongming, the strongest expert in the celestial pole continent. Shang Qian is the granddaughter of Zhang Cheng, one of the sacred martial gods. There are only 5 sacred martial gods in the entire Tianji Empire. I'll soon see all their juniors, and they'll all be beauties. Could it be that people with high cultivation can change the genes of their descendants? While he was sighing, Si Kongyao had already led the way into the parlor. The parlor of a small inn was extremely luxurious. It could even be compared with the side hall of the Zetian Palace. The red carpet was embroidered with golden patterns. It was extremely luxurious. Even the armrests and legs of the chairs in the parlor were inlaid with gems and gold edges. Isn't it too extravagant? Lin Muyu asked in a low voice. Bai, how much does it cost to stay here for a night? Lu Bai also said in a low voice. I've never stayed here before, but I've heard of this inn. Every high official and noble will pass by here when they come to the imperial capital to meet the emperor. They'll stay here for a night to gain some of the nobility's aura. Staying here for a night will cost at least this much. He held up a finger. 100 gold coins? It's so expensive. Lin Muyu exclaimed. What 100 gold coins? It's 10,000 gold coins. Lu Bai refuted his exclamation. Lin Muyu was a little confused. It seemed that the nobles of the Tianji Empire were even more extravagant than the nobles of Lanyan City. This was also a good thing. Sister Xianxia, it's been a long time. Si Kongyao directly threw herself into the arms of a beauty. Lin Muyu took a look. Just as Si Kongyao said, Xianxia was a great beauty. She was at least 95 points. Her beauty was about the same as the two great beauties, Chu Yao and Ouyang Yan. Come, let me introduce you. Si Kongyao was very enthusiastic and smiled. Big sis Xianxia, this is the person I mentioned to you, the one who can fight a dragoon without falling into a disadvantageous position. Xianxia's gaze fell on Lin Muyu, and her eyes lit up. She bowed and said, Xianxia greets Sir Ranger. You're too polite, Miss Xiang. Lin Muyu nodded. This is Lu Bai. Si Kongyao smiled and said, our future companion's specialty is reading people's brows, reading their faces, and also cooking well, hee hee. However, Xianxia did not seem to have any interest in Lu Bai, and only nodded. Lin Muyu secretly frowned. If this world worshipped the strong, then Xianxia was too snobbish. Could it be that she looked down on Lu Bai just because his cultivation was low? Using the spirit pulse technique, she had an insight into the aura of the people around her. Xianxia's cultivation was about the first level of the Holy Realm, not very strong, but it was quite good for her age. Behind Xianxia, there were a few people dressed as servants. These people were very strong. There were a total of 7 people. The weakest was in the Holy King realm, and the strongest seemed to have the cultivation of the 30th level of the Grotto Martial King realm. That person was a middle-aged man with a short beard, and he seemed to be up to no good. Sister Xianxia, why don't you introduce yourself? Si Kongyao smiled lightly. Xianxia nodded and said, my name is Xianxia, the eldest daughter of the Shang family in Tianji City. My father is Shang Sun, a merchant. My grandfather passed away when I was young. My grandfather is Zhang Qing, one of the holy martial kings of the empire, and the commander of the Yanji Corps, one of the 4 great armies. Lin Muyu nodded and said, nice to meet you. Xianxia pointed at the short-bearded expert behind her and said, this is Uncle Chen Hang, the head of our Shang family's guards. This time I went out to play, and my father insisted that I let him follow me. Chen Hang squinted his eyes and took a deep look at Lin Muyu. He said, I heard that this young hero can fight with a dragon knight. You are really not simple. I'm honored to meet you. You flatter me, I was just lucky. Lin Muyu secretly scolded Si Kongyao for having a big mouth. How could she say such things? She was simply looking for trouble for herself. Xianxia seemed to have seen through Lin Muyu's thoughts. She smiled and said, although I was born in the Shang family, and it's a prestigious family in the imperial city, don't worry, young hero. We will keep your matters a secret. Don't worry. Thank you, Mississippi. Lin Muyu felt a little complicated in her heart. This woman was not simple. She was much more shrewd than the innocent and cute Si Kongyao. Xianxia continued, where do you want to travel to, young hero? Our Miss Sikong is determined to travel with you. It won't be good if I don't follow. Otherwise, if Grandpa Sikong Ming blames me, I won't be able to bear the consequences. Si Kongyao pouted her small mouth and said, I don't have. You're still talking. Lin Muyu was a little embarrassed and said, I'll go to Tianji City first and see what the Imperial City is like. Then I'll go to the Celestial Empire, and then to the Blackstone Empire to experience the majesty of the three great empires. Xianxia smiled and said, the celestial pole continent is vast. I'm afraid it won't take 3 to 5 months to travel such a long distance. It doesn't matter. I have plenty of time. All right. Xianxia held Si Kongyao's hand and said with a smile, just in time. We can go back to the Imperial City and enjoy the delicacies of Tianji City, right, Yao? Si Kongyao was delighted and said, yes, that's right. Chen Hang, on the other hand, remained silent the whole time. He folded his arms and quietly listened to the conversation for the past few days. But every time his gaze swept over Lin Muyu, there would be a trace of hostility. Obviously, this head of the guards had probably regarded Lin Muyu as an imaginary enemy. At this moment, a servant came in from outside the guest hall and said to Shang Qian respectfully, Miss Shang, there's a young master outside asking to see you. Young master? Who is it? He claims to be the second son of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Rites. I won't see him. Shang Qian frowned and said, we'll rest for the night and set off for Tianji City tomorrow. I won't see anyone. Yes, miss. Let's go. Shang Qian smiled again and said, let's go to the side hall for dinner. You must be tired from the journey. All right. Si Kongyao nodded happily. Following behind Shang Qian, Lin Muyu asked Si Kongyao in a low voice, Miss, what's the matter with the second son of the assistant minister of the Ministry of Rites? Si Kongyao stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, Sister Shang Qian is already of marriageable age, so many descendants of the prestigious families in the empire want to become the son-in-law of the Shang family. Moreover, old General Zhang Qing dotes on Sister Shang Qian very much. She's practically the apple of both the Zhang family and the Shang family's eyes. Whoever can become Sister Shang Qian's husband will instantly become a famous person in the Tianji Empire. I see. So, are you interested in pursuing her? Sister Shang Qian is not only beautiful, but also has a gentle personality. Marrying her would be the blessing of 8 lifetimes. As for me, Lin Muyu smiled but didn't say anything. At this time, Shang Qian seemed to have heard it as well. She turned around and glared at Si Kong, saying, Little girl, how did you learn to be a matchmaker at such a young age? You don't have to care about my matters, understand? I understand. Si Kongyao took a few quick steps forward and held Shang Qian's hand. She said with a smile, but young hero is really a good person. He's very strong and easygoing. Look, he's also super handsome. Shang Qian blushed. Don't mention it, we don't even know his name. It's okay, it's not important. Just call him young hero. Lin Muyu, the banquet was extremely luxurious. There was almost none of the dishes on the table that Lin Muyu could name. There were all kinds of dishes that could fly in the sky, swim in the water, and run on the ground. Lu Bai had only heard of these dishes, so he ate them heartily. He didn't look like a VIP at all. Fortunately, Si Kongyao and Shang Qian didn't seem to care. Only Chen Hang and the others looked at Lu Bai with disdain as he ate. Lin Muyu also ate a lot, but she tried her best to maintain the proper bearing. In fact, she wished she could buy some for supper. It was already late at night when they finished the banquet, so they went back to their rooms to rest. The next morning, they woke up early and continued their journey to Tianji City, the capital of this huge empire. When Lin Muyu and Lu Bai went out, they were instantly stunned. There was a gathering of carriages and horses outside the entrance of the inn. There were nobles dressed in brocade clothes standing there. Their faces were full of respect and every one of them was extremely attentive. Miss Shang, please sit in my carriage. This carriage has been perfumed. I guarantee there won't be any foul smell. Miss Shang, my carriage is gilded. Miss Shang Qian, my carriage has been waiting for you for a long time. I am well versed in poems and songs. I can learn from you along the way. Miss Shang Qian, please sit in my carriage. I have a good character and can last long enough. Also, I'm huge. Shang Qian frowned, but she couldn't chase this group of people away openly. After all, these people were nobles' children. Many of their fathers were high-ranking officials in the capital. She couldn't afford to offend them. Si Kongyao smiled faintly. She led the warhorse over and said, "Sister, let's ride a horse. Do you still remember the days when we galloped on horseback?" Xianxia smiled cheerfully, "Okay." After raising the horsewhip and shouting, Xianxia and Si Kongyao left. Lin Muyu and Lu Bai were like two bodyguards. One followed closely, followed by Qin Hang and the other Shang family's bodyguards. The group of nobles who had prepared the carriage were dumbfounded. They said with hatred, "Who is that man following Miss Shang? He must have eaten the guts of a leopard." Tens of thousands of horses galloped. Just like that, countless nobles' children followed Miss Shang on the official road. Shang rarely went out. Once she had such an opportunity, she wouldn't miss it. As for Si Kongyao, although she was a beauty, she was too unruly and willful. The number of followers she had beaten up was equivalent to an army. Who would dare to touch her tiger butt? Lin Muyu, who was galloping, was bewildered. Why didn't everyone pursue Si Kongyao but Shang Qian? If it was her, she would choose Si Kongyao. She was lively, cute, pure, and could be ruthless when needed. Her personality was very similar to Tang Xiaoxi. She was so likable. These people from Heaven's Pole continent really couldn't understand her. Chapter 749. In Tianji City, the Tianji Imperial Palace stood majestically at the center of the capital city. On both sides of the palace were rows of commercial buildings, with smoke curling up from the chimneys. Between the largest dragonfish auction house and the army destroyer weapon shop, a rather simple and unadorned building stood there. It was like an old man who had been baptized by wind and rain for 1,000 years. Although he was old, he still possessed outstanding knowledge and extraordinary abilities. This building was known as the Battle Hall. Such battle halls could be seen everywhere in the Heavenly Pole continent. This battle hall in Tianji City was also the headquarters of the entire continent's battle halls. It was the cradle that nurtured genius experts. Countless cultivators were sparring with each other in the training field. Behind the battle hall was a very quiet pavilion with a green stone wall blocking its connection with the outside world. It was as if it was isolated from the world. Normally, no one would come here, and it was the best place for cultivation in the Tianji Empire. Here lived a highly respected old man, Sikong Ming, the sect leader of the Tianji sect, the strongest expert in the entire celestial pole continent. There were Buddhist shrines floating on the surface of the water between the pavilions. An old man sat cross-legged on the surface of the water, but there was an icy lotus flower condensed beneath him. It was extremely mysterious. If one looked carefully, they would discover that there was an invisible force rippling on the surface of the water around the old man. It was like a cool breeze, warm, but concealed a hidden sharpness. Swish! In the air, a shadow swept across the water surface like a water bird treading on the water. When it was about 10 meters away from the old man, it stopped and stepped on the water surface without causing any ripples. Then, it knelt down on both knees and said respectfully, "Your Honor, there is news of young mistress." Sikong Ming opened his eyes, which were full of vigor. He smiled and said, "That child Yao has been out for so many days. I have sensed her aura. She should be coming to Tianji City." "Your Honor is wise." "All right." The martial artist frowned and said, "Young mistress came back with Shang Qian from the Shang family. There are also two unfamiliar men who don't look like servants. One of them has a high cultivation, at least a Saint Martial Venerable. However, there is no record of this person in the Saint Register of the Battle Hall." "I understand." Sikong Ming seemed to have already seen through everything. He smiled and said, "Let her be. Yao should make some new friends. Moreover, this person's aura doesn't have any hostility. Making friends with this kind of person is good for Yao." "Yes, Your Honor." "Then, do we need to send someone to follow them?" "No need." Sikong Ming leisurely smiled, "I'm already following them." The martial artist's eyes lit up. "Yes, I understand. You may leave. Without my order, no one is to disturb my cultivation." One day later, Tianji City welcomed a new group of travelers. When Lin Muyu, Lu Bai, and the others arrived at Tianji City, it was already dusk. In this prosperous imperial city, the lanterns had just been lit, and it was very lively. Looking at the towering pavilions and towers, Lu Bai was already speechless. He could only express his amazement with wah wah wah. Lin Muyu rode on the horse, quietly glancing at the buildings in Tianji City with her peripheral vision. The Tianji Empire was indeed prosperous and prosperous. Along the way, there were more than 50 blacksmith shops. If each blacksmith shop could produce 100 weapons a day, this city could produce more than 20,000 weapons a day. It was terrifying. Such a smelting ability was not inferior to that of Lanyan City. On the other side, Shang Qian looked at Lin Muyu intentionally or unintentionally. She was thinking silently in her heart. From the way he held the reins, she could tell that he was a person with excellent horsemanship. Even from the strength he used to whip the horse and the way he turned, she could tell that he was a person who had honed his horsemanship through hundreds of battles. Why would such a person become a friend of Si Kongyao? Shang Qian frowned but did not say anything. Later that night, they arranged for Lin Muyu and Lu Bai to stay in the best post house in Tianji City. Then, Shang Qian and Si Kongyao planned to go home to report that they were safe. The next day, they would pick up Lin Muyu and Lu Bai and travel to the territory of the Celestial Empire together. Although the three empires had frequent border conflicts, they did not really go to war. Otherwise, there would not be such a prosperous era. Each of the three empires had a sacred martial god expert. In addition, they had a strong military force, so they restrained each other. No one dared to take the initiative to start a war. Otherwise, they would inevitably become the target of public criticism. Therefore, this night, only Lin Muyu and Lu Bai were left in the post house. After eating dinner early, the two decided to go to the streets to watch the bustling scene. Anyway, it was still too early. It was not bad to see the bustling night of Tianji City. Lin Muyu was still dressed as a ranger. She was dressed in a loose grayish-white tight-fitting outfit with a worn-out animal skin wrapped around it. At first glance, it was obvious that she came from the mountains. If it was not for her extraordinary bearing, she would probably be mistaken for a hunter. As for Lu Bai, he was dressed in a long gown and looked like a fraud. The two of them walking on the streets of Tianji City did not attract much attention. At night, there were many restaurants on both sides of the street. The sound of drinking and playing games could be heard everywhere. Moreover, there were also some beautiful women on the street. This made Lin Muyu sigh with emotion. It turned out that there was such an industry here. Sure enough, PCs were the driving force of human economic development. Lin and shouldn't you get yourself a weapon? Asked Lin Muyu. After so many days of cultivation, Lu Bai could already generate genuine qi that was not too weak. In terms of classification, he should have almost stepped into the second heaven of the human realm. In any case, he could be considered as a scholar who had the strength to truss a chicken. Weapon? Lu Bai was stunned and said, "Young hero, I have never used a weapon. Can you help me choose one?" "Sure." Lin Muyu looked at his figure and said, "You are too thin and weak. It is not suitable for you to use heavy weapons. Hammers, battle axes, broadswords and the like are definitely not suitable for you. Then I will choose weapons like short swords, daggers, short swords, or fans. Choose one yourself." "Daggers, short swords?" Lu Bai frowned. "It doesn't sound like a good person." "Lu Bai, am a scholar. Heaven is jealous of geniuses. I am a natural genius. If I can't use that kind of weapon, then I will use a fan." "I knew it." Lin Muyu secretly laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Lu Bai looked unhappy. "Why did you choose a fan?" "Because of dexterity." Lu Bai chuckled. "Moreover, he has an elegant demeanor and is extraordinarily handsome. Who knows, he might even be able to get himself a wife." "Oh, your life goal is to get a wife. Young hero, you are so handsome. You will definitely not lack women. I am different. I am almost 30 years old and have never touched a woman's body. It is really sad to talk about it. I do too." Lin Muyu said casually. "Is that so?" Lu Bai's eyes lit up. He said with a smile, "That is easy. Hasn't Miss Si Kongyao always wanted to recruit you into the Tianji sect? Moreover, I can tell that she likes you very much. She is just too shy to say it. As the saying goes, a man should take the initiative. Young hero, why don't you tell her to let Si Kongyao be your woman and you will join the Tianji sect? In my opinion. He counted with his fingers and rolled his eyes. A few seconds later he said, I am at least 80% sure that Miss Si Kongyao will agree to it. Lin Muyu looked at him with disdain. You only think about this all day. Humph, I was wrong about you. Moreover, I don't want to die. If I dare to touch Si Kongyao, I guarantee that her grandfather will immediately jump out and fight me. I can't afford to offend an old grandfather with the cultivation of a martial god. Lu Bai laughed. Look at you, I know you're scared. I think, maybe you've taken a fancy to that Shang family's Missy. After all, she's more feminine. That figure, the front and the back. Stop drooling, my dear brother. You are a graceful scholar. Cough, cough. The two of them walked into a blacksmith shop. Immediately, a skinny shopkeeper welcomed them with a face full of smiles. Are the two of you looking for weapons? Lin Muyu nodded. My friend wants to buy an iron fan. Shopkeeper, do you have it in your shop? Yes. This way, please. They came to a row of exquisite weapon racks. There were many fans on them. The price and material were marked on the side. The skinny shopkeeper picked one up and said, the frame of this fan is made of fine steel. It is as hard as iron. The surface of the fan is weaved with cloud silk. It cannot be cut by swords or sabers. It was forged by the capital's famous blacksmith, Gongye Mao. The price is 5,000 gold coins. Wow, 5,000 gold coins. So expensive? Lu Bai was dumbfounded. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. This guy was too embarrassing. She said, let me take a look. He took the fan and weighed it in his hand. After injecting his divine power into the fan to test the recoil, he said, it is indeed a good fan, but the material is not good enough and the impurities have not been purified. With such a material, it cannot withstand the king's fighting flame of a sacred warrior. Shopkeeper, am I right? The shopkeeper was startled. He narrowed his eyes. This young man in front of him was not simple. His eyes were really sharp. Yes. Then what about this one? He quickly picked up another fan and said, Customer, look. This fan has a name. It is called the Heavenly Secrets Fan. Lin Muyu took the fan and said with a smile, in terms of material, it is not as good as the one just now. That's right. However, young hero, don't forget its name. The Heavenly Secrets Fan must have a secret inside. Saying that, the shopkeeper took back the fan and gently opened it. After pressing the mechanism at the bottom of the fan, shwa shwa shwa, several steel needles that were so thin that they couldn't be seen flew out and pierced into the stone wall. So sharp. Lu Bai was dumbstruck. This is a fan with hidden weapons. That's right. The shopkeeper was immensely proud of himself. This Heavenly Secrets fan can not only defend against enemies in battle, but it can also kill people invisibly. However, if it is not a mortal enemy, it is better not to use hidden weapons. And we will take this fan. How much is it? Not expensive. 1,500 gold coins. Pay up, commoner. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and smiled. Lu Bai unwillingly took out the gold notes. At this time, he also realized that Lin Muyu was not a master who knew how to run a household. Just at this time, a cold voice suddenly came from behind. Oh, so it is you too. Truly wearing out iron shoes in fruitless search, only to find it by chance. Chapter 750. Behind her was a young man in a golden brocade robe with a bright jade hanging from his waist. His hair was tied up and he wore a pure white jade crown. At first glance, one could tell that he was a person of noble status. Moreover, there were even a few armored guards behind him. This person's identity was definitely not simple. Who are you? Lin Muyu's face was indescribably calm. It seemed that she did not take the person in front of her seriously at all. Boy, you are the person who accompanied Miss Xianxia during the day and talked and laughed with her, aren't you? Then it's easy. The young man in the brocade robe showed a hint of a hideous smile. Miss Xianxia's identity is so noble. How can she allow a lowly person like you to accompany her? If you know what's good for you, stay away from her. You don't deserve it. Or you. Lin Muyu was a little impatient. You don't even know my young master. How dare you stay in Tianji City? A sharp-mouthed and ape-like guard sneered. My name is Shi Tianming. I am the son of the Minister of War, Shi Ran. Do you know now? Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. But it's not that I want to follow Shang Qian. It's Shang Qian who wants to accompany me. Young Master Shi Tianming, forgive me for not being able to comply. With my temperament, I can't drive a lady away from you. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you. Shi Tianming's eyes became cold. Really? So, you insist on accompanying Miss Shang Qian? Yes, I'm accompanying her. What can you do? Lin Muyu was amenable to coaxing but not coercion. I don't know, if a person with broken legs can still accompany Shang Qian? Shi Tianming's face was full of cruelty. Someone, close the door of the weapon shop and break both of this boy's legs. The shopkeeper was scared silly. Young Master Shi Tianming, please be merciful. This lowly one is running a small business and cannot afford to be smashed by you. Young Master, please be merciful. This lowly one is begging you, go away. Shi Tianming opened his palm and blasted the shopkeeper away. It could be seen that he still had some cultivation, probably at the second heaven of the Saint Realm. After all, he came from a rich family and had an endless supply of demon spirit stones, which was enough to cultivate a mediocre person into a Saint Realm expert. However, compared to the other experts of the younger generation in Tianji City, Shi Tianming was probably just a second-rate expert. The door was slammed shut. Lu Bai took a few steps back and sat in his chair, ready to watch the show. He knew Lin Muyu's strength very well. He knew that these children of officials couldn't do anything to her. Even the Dragon Knights weren't her match, let alone a good-for-nothing like Shi Tianming. Dang dang dang. 4 guards pulled out their steel blades and rushed over with cold eyes. Furthermore, there were 2 guards on each side, forming a circle. This is an infantry combat formation? Lin Muyu couldn't help but be stunned. These 4 people didn't say a word. At a glance, she could tell that they were not ordinary people. They should be professional soldiers. The tactics they used must be the 4 major armies of the Tianji Empire. Swoosh! For sharp lights tore through the air. The shopkeeper was so scared that he hurriedly retreated to the corner of the weapon store. Several shop assistants were also so scared that their faces turned pale. They all knew Shi Tianming's name, one of the young thugs of the capital. Maybe someone would die here today. But what they didn't expect was that Lin Muyu's movements were very agile. Although the 4 soldiers' attacks were very fast, it seemed to be slow in Lin Muyu's eyes. This was the gap between their cultivation. After avoiding the 4 blades calmly, Lin Muyu raised her hand and punched a soldier on the left. Ha! He was slightly stunned, but he responded quickly. He crossed his body to block Lin Muyu's fist, while the other 2 people on the 2 sides chopped down with their blades. Their attacks were clean and neat, like 2 beams of strong light attacking in a ladder. Lin Muyu also felt a faint chill behind her. The 4th person's attack was the most fatal. The blade chopped down from a high position and took his life. Lin Muyu felt a chill in her heart. The 4 people's joint attack was so tacit that it could be said to be flawless. If the soldiers of the Qin Empire were to block it, perhaps even some seasoned soldiers in the Longdan army camp who had been through hundreds of battles would also die under this attack. But he was not. Young master, be careful. Lu Bai's heart was in his throat. Dang! With a slight twist of his fist, a burst of power directly broke the opponent's steel saber. In an instant, nearly 90% of the fist's power was retracted. With a pung sound, the soldier was sent flying as if he had hit a rubber ball. With a spin of his body, some flames appeared in his palm and swept across. The scorching airflow blew away the other 3 soldiers. Bang, bang, bang. Although they were all tall and strong, they were blown away like leaves under Lin Muyu's attack. They crashed into several rows of weapon racks and howled miserably. Lin Muyu had only used less than half of his divine power, but he had already seriously injured them. How is this possible? Shi Tianming stood there dumbfounded and looked at everything in front of him incredulously. These 4 people were all first-class guards of the Minister of War's mansion. Each of them was at least a first-class warrior. How could they be so easily defeated by this inconspicuous boy in front of him? This was impossible. Filled with suspicion and anger, Shi Tianming's view of power was almost overturned by Lin Muyu. Looking at the flame in Lin Muyu's hand, Shi Tianming slowly pulled out his sword and asked, "Are you a sacred warrior?" Lin Muyu shook his palm and dispersed the power of the law of fire. "You can condense the king's fighting flame without being a sacred warrior?" Shi Tianming gritted his teeth and said, "But I don't believe it. I'm going to fight you today." "Fight me?" Lin Muyu raised his eyebrows and said, "Sure, but what if you lose?" "If I lose, you can do whatever you want to me." "You said it." "That's right." Shi Tianming bellowed furiously, and the cyclone around him danced rapidly. It was obvious that he cultivated the law of wind. The surging airflow blew away all the weapon racks around him. It was unknown how many young girls in Tianji City were mesmerized by this stance alone. However, it was a pity that Shang Qian had never looked this son of the Minister of War in the eye. This made Shi Tianming feel very frustrated. But today, he was faced with an even more tragic defeat. Swoosh! Lin Muyu moved like lightning. Her left hand turned into a palm and landed on Shi Tianming's shoulder. She didn't even wait for him to push his power to the peak level. Shi Tianming spat out a mouthful of blood. He was defeated in one move. He didn't even have the chance to finish his cool starting stance. "Young master." The group of guards was dumbfounded, but no one dared to step forward. Everyone knew that the strength of the wanderer in front of them was definitely above them. Who would want to court death? After all, serving as a guard of the Minister of War was just to earn a living. Who would be willing to lose their lives for a living? Lin Muyu's strength was at least at the level of a sacred warrior. Everyone in the empire knew about the bad temper of a saint-level expert. At this time, Lin Muyu just didn't have the intention to kill. If she really had the intention to kill, then they could only blame themselves for being unlucky. "Oh!" Shi Tianming fell in the mess and used a mace as a pillow. He screamed in pain. Lin Muyu stepped forward and stepped on Shi Tianming's chest. She approached him and said with a faint smile, "You just said that you lost and I can do whatever I want to you, right? The son of the Minister of War? What do you want?" Shi Tianming gritted his teeth. "I want to beat you up first. Don't hit my face." Fists fell on Shi Tianming's body like rain. The poor handsome and charming young master was beaten into a pig's head in the blink of an eye. His eyes were swollen like ping-pong balls, and he wailed and begged for mercy. Even after Lin Muyu stopped, he was still waving his arms to block randomly, as if he had gone mad. "TSK, you really can't take a beating." Lin Muyu sneered and bent down to take the space bag from Shi Tianming's waist. She said, "This is your filial piety to me. Are you willing?" Shi Tianming couldn't help but wail, "No. Young hero, there are 3 million gold notes and dozens of extremely precious demon spirit stones in there. Please return them to me, dream on." Lin Muyu quickly stuffed the space bag into her arms. Looking around, Lin Muyu said, "Bai, give the shopkeeper 2,000 gold coins as compensation for the damage here. Then let's go." "Okay." Lu Bai was scared silly by the scene in front of him and hurriedly paid the money. However, just as Lin Muyu was about to turn around and leave, she suddenly felt her leg tighten. Her calf was being hugged by someone. It was Shi Tianming, whose face was swollen like a pig's head. His eyes were filled with determination as he said, "Young hero, you've taken away all my assets. Can you promise me something? I'll give you another sum of money." "You don't even have money. Why are you still talking about conditions with me?" Yes. I can go back to the mansion to get it." "All right, what conditions do you have? Tell me. Can you?" Shi Tianming's swollen face actually turned a little red. He said, "Can you bring me along? I want to travel with you and Miss Shang Qian." "Oh, what a passionate person." Lin Muyu gave him a thumbs up and said, I'll promise you 100 4th-class demon spirit stones. Ah! Shi Tianming's face was ashen. How is this possible? How can I have so many high-class demon spirit stones? Then forget it. Wait, young hero. I can get them. I have many friends. I can get them. However, how about 50? Anyway, it was free money. Lin Muyu readily agreed. Okay. Tomorrow morning, bring the demon spirit stones to the biggest inn in Tianji City to find me. I will plead for you and bring you along. Thank you, young hero. Shi Tianming nodded repeatedly. When Lin Muyu and Lu Bai walked far away, several guards helped Shi Tianming up. One of them asked, Young master, are you really going to give him 54th-class demon spirit stones? This guy is not a good guy. Shi Tianming's eyes revealed a sense of ruthlessness and said, Cut the crap. Help me prepare 50 demon spirit stones. In addition, help me get a top-grade sleeping powder. Shang Qian must become my woman. This guy must die. Young master, aren't you being too ruthless? Once General Zhang Cheng blames us, I'm afraid even the Ministry of War's Minister of War can't protect themselves. Just do as I say. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Chapter 751. Howl. The dragon head emerged from the dark plain. Catasaurus wiggled its body like a big mudfish as it came out of the narrow plain crack. It was getting lazier and lazier. Even the energy it used to open the plain crack was extremely sparse. If it could get out, it would never want to open a bigger one. Under the black rock, the beautiful girl curled up her body. The wound on her shoulder seemed to be infected. She endured the pain and used her light elemental energy to heal it. You're here? The girl looked at Acatosaurus as if they were old friends. Acatosaurus ran over. It opened its mouth and with a clang, a long sword shining with star power fell in front of the girl. Then, it rubbed its big head on the girl's arm as if it was asking for credit. The girl held the long sword. Suddenly, a vigorous star power flowed into her body. The star power was originally a kind of light elemental energy. The power of the long sword quickly resonated with the power in the girl's body. There was even a strange sense of familiarity. It was as if she had seen this sword somewhere before. This sword could also evoke some memory fragments from the deepest part of her Ihai. She let go of the long sword and let it fall to the ground. She hugged her head in pain and moaned. She couldn't remember at all. That memory was very painful for her. Howl, Acatosaurus blinked its big eyes and quietly watched over her. After a while, the girl held the long sword again. She exerted force in her arm, and a celestial dragon crystal appeared around the long sword. She smiled and said, This is a good sword. Is this for me? Acatosaurus nodded repeatedly and wagged its tail happily. Thank you. The girl smiled and said, It's a pity that the banished land is barren. I don't have anything delicious to entertain you. Acatosaurus wasn't angry. Instead, it opened the alternate plain crack and came out with a prey in its mouth. It was a wild boar. The girl was overjoyed. A wild boar was such a delicious thing. In the banished land, perhaps even the king didn't enjoy it like this. She immediately cut off a large piece of boar meat, washed it, and cooked it. Catasaurus wagged its tail and guarded the side like a big dog. The meat in the iron pot slowly began to boil, and the aroma of the meat permeated the air. The girl didn't stay idle. She cut Eric's cloak with her astral sword, turning it into an exquisite cloak that was level with her buttocks. She draped the cloak over her back, and it seemed to be able to withstand the cold. The nights in the banished land were too cold. She carefully put away the remaining cloak fabric. In the banished land, this material was like a treasure that could cause hunters to kill each other and fight over it. Finally, the meat soup was ready. The girl scooped a bowl and put it aside. She called out to Acatosaurus, You want to eat too? Acatosaurus usually ate raw meat. Now that there was a big bowl of fragrant cooked meat in front of it, it naturally wouldn't let it go. It immediately shook its head and ate heartily. The girl also scooped a bowl of meat and ate it in small bites. She looked at Acatosaurus as she ate, and a trace of helplessness flashed in her eyes. Don't come here anymore. Eric is dead, and there will be a new king to avenge him and snatch his territory. I'm no longer safe here. That's it. Do you understand? The Catosaurus swallowed the meat while wagging its long tail, which flickered on the rock wall. It didn't seem to understand what she was saying. The girl sighed. Fine. If you really want to die here with me, then let's die together. However, it won't be that easy for the king to kill me. Her beautiful eyes, which were like the moon, revealed a trace of killing intent. A trace of killing intent that didn't match her appearance and temperament at all. Hiss, hiss. The rice river in early spring was filled with the fragrance of the river water, and the spring rain kept on falling. The empire's largest vast sea dock stood here. It was also a dock directly managed by the empire's Ministry of Works. Over half of the empire's navy's warships were produced here. It was said that the vast sea dock had the empire's top shipbuilders and design masters. The horses' hooves stepped on the muddy ground as they walked on the square of the dock. Feng Jixing wore a golden duke's cloak, and the aura around him was dense, isolating him from the spring rain. Zhang Wei, Qin Xiaoli, Luo Yu, and the other generals behind him didn't have such cultivation. All of them were drenched. Your Highness, Prince Exing. The person who wore robes and armor was none other than one of the Empire's 5 marquises, the Navy's commander, Bai Litsong. After so many years, Bai Litsong seemed to have aged even more. Right now, he could be said to be a veteran general. He said with great respect, "It's very difficult to build a ship. We've tried many methods, but we're still unable to solve the problem of the ship's sturdiness and bearing capacity." Feng Jixing said, "Have you asked Xiling about these problems?" Lord Qin has drawn up new blueprints for us, but our craftsmen aren't able to understand them. I'm afraid we'll have to ask Lord Qin to personally make a trip back to Lanyan City. Got it. Feng Jixing turned and said, "Chen Xiaoli, personally lead 1,000 men and head to the heaven-connecting province. Xie Xiling, return to the imperial capital. Tell him directly that this is my order." "Yes, Your Highness." Qin Xiaoli nodded. Feng Jixing looked at the many ship prototypes in the canopy in the distance and said, "Marking high, the powerful enemies won't wait until we've made all the preparations before they take action. They might kill their way through the Eastern Sea at any moment and step into the Empire's territory. Please supervise the work strictly and there mustn't be any carelessness. This batch of warships will determine the Empire's future. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Highness." Bai Litsong cupped his fists. He hesitated for a moment, wanting to say something but holding himself back. "What's the matter now?" Bai Litsong said, "It's still a matter of funds. The shipbuilding fees allocated by the National Treasury to the Shanghai shipyard have been embezzled. When it comes to me, it's not even half of what was promised." "They even dare to embezzle this kind of money?" Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows and asked, "Who is it?" Bai Litsong let out a bitter laugh. "Corruption has been prevalent for a long time. Your Highness, Prince Exin, should also know who it is. From the Ministry of Revenue to the Provincial Treasury, how many officials haven't been tainted with this amount of golden ling coins? But if Your Highness were to deal with them, I'm afraid no one will gather this amount of gold to build warships in the Empire. A bunch of scoundrels." Feng Jixing punched the air furiously, and the wind from his fist exploded in the air along with the drizzle. It was very loud. He gritted his teeth and said, "Wei Chou is still leading the Longdan army camp to fight the devil race at the heaven-connecting gorge. Yu has personally gone to the celestial pole continent to scout out the situation. Duke Wei and King Qin are already in such a state. To think that these imperial capital officials still dare to take Lanyan City's Jinxian coins. They're simply asking for death. Luo Yu, what do you think we should do?" Luo Yu cupped his hands. "We can't tolerate these vermin, but we can't deal with all of them either. Then we can only make a show of force. Your Highness, we can arrest the most corrupt and lowly official among these officials and behead them. I don't believe that these corrupt officials will continue to be so presumptuous." "Good idea." Feng Jixing smiled. "Let's do it this way. I'll leave it to you to handle. Yes, I'll look for Xiao Han of the Fire Sparrow Division to help with this." Feng Jixing took out a token and said, "Take my token of trust and go together. Whoever dares to obstruct you will be killed on the spot." Luo Yu was delighted. "Yes, Your Highness." Zhang Wei smiled faintly and said, "General Feng is swift and decisive. It's admirable." "Admirable, my foot." Feng Jixing looked at him indifferently. "You've never been one to flatter people normally. Now that you're saying such nice things, you must have secretly gone to drink? Your Highness is wise." Zhang Wei cupped his fists. "I promise I won't dare to do it again." Feng Jixing raised his eyebrows. "According to the Empire's military order, your head would have been removed long ago. If not for your ability to command the troops." As he said this, Feng Jixing urged his horse forward and patted Zhang Wei's shoulder. He said meaningfully, "Zhang Wei, be careful. Our future enemies are much stronger than us. Even people like you and Princess Xi are nervous. The future of the Empire rests on the shoulders of us soldiers. Drink less and practice more of the Imperial Army and Lingnan Army's battle tactics. Do you understand?" Zhang Wei took a deep breath. "I understand. Don't worry, Commander. If the foreign tribes' iron hooves step onto the Empire's territory and they want to lay their hands on Lanyan City, they'll have to do it over my dead body. Yes, let's go. Perhaps we'll sleep together on the land of our homeland." Feng Jixing looked at the curtain of rain in the east and said, "Who knows? Anyway, as soldiers, we should fight to the death for every inch of the Empire's territory and never retreat." "Yes, I understand." Zhang Wei stood in the rain and saluted the Empire's military like a steel statue that wouldn't fall. In Tianji City, it was raining in the early morning. The continuous spring rain seemed to have covered the entire bustling Tianji City with a layer of gauze. Creak! The door of the room opened. Lin Muyu, who had rested for a night, felt refreshed. She walked outside and shook her arms. Divine power enshrouded her. It seemed that the 5th-grade demon spirit stone that she had refined the night before had improved her cultivation. This was a good thing. It was not easy to break through every grotto heaven in the god state. Her power was also increasing bit by bit. She couldn't be impatient. At this moment, Lu Bai came from the corridor and said, "Young hero, that person is waiting downstairs." Lin Muyu craned her neck to take a look. Indeed, in the small courtyard downstairs, a person was waiting there with a cyan umbrella. When he heard the sound, he would only lift the umbrella. His red and swollen face was full of smiles. He said, "Young hero, I've come as promised." "Oh, it's Mr. Shi." Lin Muyu beamed with joy as if she had seen the god of fortune. There were dozens of 4th-grade to 6th-grade demon spirit stones in Shi Tianming's space bag. This had already made Lin Muyu very surprised. Now, in order to pursue the first beauty of the Tianji Empire, Shangqian, Shi Tianming brought new demon spirit stones to her door. Although Lin Muyu could see the hidden killing intent in Shi Tianming's eyes, as long as he came to give her money, she couldn't refuse him. Anyway, she hadn't fully revealed her abilities, so she didn't need to be afraid of this kind of rich playboy. Chapter 752. Here, this is a gift for you. Shi Tianming held a cloth bag embroidered with patterns in his hand. It looked very exquisite, but it seemed that the cloth craftsmanship of the celestial pole continent was far inferior to that of the shattered cauldron world. Even the materials used by people of Shi Tianming's status were considered very rough in Lanyan City, not to mention the famous silk and cloud brocade of Lanyan City. Compared to those, the bag in Shi Tianming's hand was simply unpresentable. However, this bag contained 54th-grade demon spirit stones, so Lin Muyu didn't mind the shabby bag at all. Just like Lin Muyu's original intention, since she had come to the celestial pole continent, she couldn't go back empty-handed. At least, she had to bring a batch of demon spirit stones back to the Empire to improve the cultivation of Tang Xiaoxi, Chu Yao, Ouyang Yan, Feng Jixing, Wei Chou, and the others. In this way, they might have the power to fight in the future. Lin Muyu took the bag and cleared it. She had a look of praise on her face. "Mr. Shi, you are a man of your word and you are resolute in your actions. You are indeed a disciple of a prominent family in Tianji City. I admire you." Shi Tianming was so proud of himself in front of his subordinates that he almost burst out laughing. Lin Muyu looked at the at least 30 guards behind him and said, "Are you sure you want to take so many people with you on your trip? I'm afraid Miss Xianxia will be unhappy with such a big show." Shi Tianming was stunned. "Then, those people? Just you alone will do." Lin Muyu guided him patiently. "If you want to win the heart of an excellent woman, you have to remember one thing. For her, you have to do things that others can't do. As the son of the Minister of War, young Master Shi is willing to take risks alone for Miss Xianxia, travel to a barren land, and disregard life and death. You see, even I feel touched when I hear such words, let alone Miss Xianxia." Shi Tianming bit his lips and pondered for a moment before he said, "All right then, I'll go alone." That's right. A golden light flashed in Lin Muyu's eyes. He had already seen through Shi Tianming's killing intent. This made him somewhat surprised. Doesn't Shi Tianming want to take revenge on me? Perhaps the power of love was great. In order to obtain Xianxian's heart, Shi Tianming might be willing to disregard the past and pursue the beauty wholeheartedly. Who knows? The ability to see through the hearts of others was called divine strategy. According to Ouyang Yen, when a god king broke through to the 40th heavenly abode, the higher his cultivation and mental state, the higher the chance of obtaining the divine strategy ability. However, this ability was too strange. It could see through the hearts of others, so people usually kept a respectful distance from gods who possessed the divine strategy ability. After all, no one wanted their hearts to be seen through. At this moment, the sound of hooves could be heard from outside the post house. Not long after, the door opened and a group of people riding on fine horses entered the courtyard. Among them, 2 were dressed in young women's attire and held umbrellas. The other 3 were only draped in straw raincoats and didn't hold umbrellas. However, one of them had already released his gang qi to resist the invasion of the rain. It was obvious that his cultivation was extraordinary. "Young hero, are you ready?" Si Kongyao put down her umbrella. Her rosy cheeks looked very cute. "Yes, we are ready." Lin Muyu was pleased, but her gaze also landed on the 3 accompanying men. One of them was Qin Hang, the head guard of Shang clan. She knew him, but she had never seen the other 2 young men in their 20s. She asked in shock, "These 2 young masters are?" "Oh, I forgot to introduce you." Si Kongyao giggled and pointed to the first young man on her right. "This is young Master Zhuang Xiaoyu, the son of Great Minister Zhuang Xian. He and I have known each other since young. He is a good playmate. Moreover, Xiaoyu's cultivation is very high. If he follows us, he will be able to deal with the dangers along the way. After all, we might encounter many dangers along the way." Lin Muyu nodded in greeting. Zhuang Xiaoyu squinted his eyes and examined Lin Muyu carefully. Then he raised his head and said, "Young hero, you are the very powerful person Yao mentioned, right?" "Probably." It could be seen that Zhuang Xiaoyu was a very arrogant person. Lin Muyu could only smile awkwardly. There would probably be all sorts of troubles along the way. However, this Zhuang Xiaoyu was indeed powerful. At such a young age, he could already pulsate 29 layers of God Force waves. This was a powerhouse that was close to the level of a God King. Si Kongyao then pointed at another young man and said with a smile, this one's reputation is even greater." Lin Muyu listened attentively. Zhuang Xiaoyu sneered, "Young hero, have you not even seen the legendary #1 expert of Tianji City's royal family? Or, have you not even heard of him? Aren't you a little too ignorant and ill-informed?" Si Kongyao saw that Lin Muyu was embarrassed and actually felt sorry for her. She pouted and said, "Xiaoyu, stop talking. Young hero, this is young Prince Baiming, the son of the Luo King, Baiming. His Highness the Luo King visited the Celestial Altar Sect's headquarters last night and informed grandfather of this matter. Therefore, young Prince Baiming will be traveling with us." Lin Muyu nodded. Baiming wasn't as arrogant as Zhuang Xiaoyu. He smiled at Lin Muyu and nodded. "We will travel together in the future. Please take care of me. Take care of each other." Lin Muyu didn't want to be rude. After all, Baiming was a member of the royal family. If there was a war in the future, he might be useful. Oh right. He smiled. I need to bring one more person with me. Si Kongyao smiled and asked. Lin Muyu pointed to Shi Tianming beside her and said, "That's him." Si Kongyao giggled. Soon, she was shaking with laughter, but she didn't say what she was laughing about. After all, it was too rude. Zhuang Xiaoyu raised his eyebrows and said, "Yo, isn't this young master Shi of the Ministry of War? What's wrong with your face?" Shi Tianming said awkwardly, I hit a wall." No need to explain. The corner of Zhuang Xiaoyu's mouth curled up. "We will choose the most dangerous forest of no return for this trip. Young Prince Baiming and I will naturally protect Miss Shang Qian. Yao's strength is enough to protect herself. As for you, with young Master Shi's cultivation level, you don't seem to be able to travel with us, do you? Forest of no return." Shock flashed across Shi Tianming's face. "This, is the forest of no return very scary?" Lin Muyu asked. "The forest of no return is forbidden, that's right." Zhuang Xiaoyu's handsome face was full of pride as he said, "Demon spirits run amok in the forest of no return. It is said that a demon emperor-level demon spirit once appeared there. It has been listed as a forbidden area of the three empires since thousands of years ago. However, it is only a forbidden area for the weak. For the strong, the forest of no return is just a hunting paradise. How can it be called a forbidden area?" "I see." Lin Muyu looked at Shi Tianming, who was scared silly, and asked, "Young Master Shi, do you still want to go?" "I want to go." Shi Tianming had already given the 50 demon spirit stones to Lin Muyu. Seeing how black-hearted this guy was, he definitely wouldn't be able to get them back. In order to buy these demon spirit stones, he had spent many years of savings and all kinds of connections. It would be a pity if he didn't go. Besides, although his cultivation was low, he was at least one of the candidates for the sacred warrior of the imperial capital. Even if he couldn't compare to Zhuang Xiaoyu and Baiming Jie, no matter how strong the opponent was, he would at least be able to fight. Thus, Shi Tianming looked at Lin Muyu with watery eyes and asked, "Young hero, if I encounter danger, will you save me?" "Depends on the situation." Lin Muyu touched her nose and said, "Commoner, get on the horse. Let's get ready to go." But Lu Bai turned over and mounted the horse. Shi Tianming glanced at their horses and said, "Young hero, your mount is so thin and weak. It won't be able to go far. Perhaps it will die of exhaustion before we reach the Celestial Empire. Someone, bring 2 horses over." 2 attendants brought the horses over. They were indeed very majestic. Zhuang Xiaoyu couldn't help but sneer. "In order to please someone stronger than you, in order to seek protection. Young Master Shi is really going all out. You even gave away horses that are worth thousands of gold just like that. I really admire you." Young Master Zhuang flatters me." Shi Tianming's father and Zhuang Xiaoyu's father didn't get along very well in the imperial court. The 2 families almost became mortal enemies. Naturally, they would speak tit for tat. Lin Muyu turned over and mounted the horse. She straightened the ice origin sword on her back and said, "Don't talk nonsense. Let's go. We don't have much time to waste." Zhuang Xiaoyu narrowed his eyes and stared at the ice origin sword. He asked in astonishment, "Yao, wasn't this ice origin sword a gift from your grandfather for your 17th birthday? Why did you give it away?" Si Kongyao smiled slightly. "It's nothing. A treasured sword should be given to a hero. Young hero's skills are worthy of this ice origin sword, so I gave it to him. What, Brother Xiaoyu, could it be that you lack a sword like this?" "I don't." Zhuang Xiaoyu's expression was somewhat ugly. His face seemed to say, "I don't lack treasured swords, but I lack the treasured sword you gave me." It was obvious that this brat must have had a crush on Si Kongyao since he was young. He just couldn't say it out loud. Lin Muyu carried the ice origin sword that Si Kongyao gave her. When she saw Zhuang Xiaoyu's face filled with jealousy and hatred, she actually felt very happy in her heart. Moreover, with Zhuang Xiaoyu's breadth of mind and strength, she was afraid that she would inevitably have a battle with him. Lin Muyu inexplicably looked forward to this battle. Zhuang Xiaoyu had stepped into the peak of the first level of the God state at such a young age. He could break through and step into the Divine King realm at any time. Moreover, he was proud and arrogant. To have a battle with such an opponent was simply a great joy in life. The horse's hooves stepped on the mud. The group embarked on a new journey. Along the way, Shang Qian was actually indescribably calm. Si Kongyao said 10,000 words, but Shang Qian only said about 10. The mind of the number one beauty of Tianji City was like the deep sea. It was impossible to see through. Chapter 753. After leaving Tianji City, they walked eastward for 3 days and finally arrived outside a lush forest. On the edge of the forest, there was a huge stone tablet engraved with the words, "Forest of No Return Forbidden Area." Along the way, there were many soldiers of the Tianji Empire guarding it. However, it was obvious that most of them were reserve soldiers. Many of them were not even fully equipped with military uniforms. Zhuang Xiaoyu rode his horse at the front, looking for a path to enter the forest of no return. Although it was a forbidden area, there were still some bold hunters who went in to hunt occasionally. For them, there was no place that was forbidden for them to survive and raise their families. Therefore, there must be a path in the forest that was opened up by the hunters. The 8 of them were riding horses, so it was obvious that there must be a path to walk in the mountains. The spring rain had just ended, and the forest was green. Among the green, there were white flowers in full bloom, which was very pleasing to the eye. Si Kongyao and Shang Qian also smiled. After all, they were women. Seeing such a beautiful scenery would naturally open their hearts and make them feel happy. In the distance, more than a dozen soldiers holding spears were walking on the muddy and withered leaves. Their faces were green and yellow, and it was obvious that they lacked nutrition. The forest of no return was located in a remote area, so these soldiers must not have had any good food. Zhuang Xiaoyu, Baiming Jie, Si Kongyao, Shang Qian and the others were dressed in rich and noble clothes, so the group of soldiers did not dare to act rashly. The leading veteran raised his spear with trembling hands and said respectfully, "Young masters, young mistresses, this is the forest of no return. It is listed as one of the forbidden areas by the Empire. No one is allowed to enter. Please don't make things difficult for us soldiers. Please take a detour." Zhuang Xiaoyu pointed to the depths of the forest and asked, "Sergeant, what's in the forest?" "In the forest," the veteran looked gloomy and said, "there is everything in this forest. Demonic beasts, demonic spirits, giant pythons, ferocious beasts, and so on. We, who are on duty, can only set up camp in the open space. Otherwise, we will be attacked. Just this month, 7 of our brothers from our garrison have died under the claws of the demonic spirits. The demon spirits are so arrogant that they dare to attack the Empire's army?" Zhuang Xiaoyu was stunned. The old soldier replied, "You may not know this, but every 1,000 soldiers in the army stationed in the forest of no return will have one paladin. The aura of a paladin is enough to intimidate ordinary demons, but our garrison has a total of 2,000 people, and most of them are new recruits. That's why the higher-ups didn't arrange for a paladin for us. The demons in the forest of no return are sentient, and they know that I'm easy to bully, so they keep attacking me. Sigh, I really don't know when the Empire will send the warriors of the Heaven's Dawn Dragon Riders to destroy these arrogant spiritual beasts. They will come." Zhuang Xiaoyu comforted the veteran and asked, "Is there a way into the mountain here?" "Young master wants to enter the mountain?" The old soldier was startled. "Let me give you a word of advice. It's best not to enter the mountains. Nowadays, unless you're a dragon knight, you won't be able to return from the forest of no return. It's been so many years, and there are too many demons in the forest of no return who are about to ascend. They're very fierce. We're here to enter the mountain. Don't stop us," Zhuang Xiaoyu said lightly. The old soldier frowned, and the new soldiers behind him immediately raised their weapons and surrounded Zhuang Xiaoyu, Lin Muyu, and Si Kongyao. "No one is allowed to enter the forest of no return. This is the Empire's law. Do you want to defy the Empire's law?" Zhuang Xiaoyu smiled faintly and fished out a golden token from his bosom. "What if I have this?" Everyone looked at it. The new soldiers didn't recognize it at all, but the old soldier narrowed his eyes and looked at the words on the token. He couldn't help but tremble. He threw away his spear and knelt in the mud. "Your subordinate greets my lord." "Young master?" "Young master must be the young master of the great minister, Zhuang Xiaoyu? It's good that you recognize Situ Jinling. Can we enter the mountain now?" Zhuang Xiaoyu asked proudly. The old soldier frowned and nodded. "Young master, if you want to enter the mountain, then let's go." It's said that young master Zhuang Xiaoyu is the strongest among the younger generation in the imperial capital. I think the demon spirits in the mountain can't do anything to you. However, I still advise you to be careful. The Lord of the Forest of No Return is a demon emperor. Once you attract the attention of the demon emperor, I'm afraid it won't be easy for you to escape. With that, the old soldier glanced at Si Kongyao and Shang Qian and said, "What's more, you brought two such beautiful ladies." He was obviously saying that these two women were holding him back. Si Kongyao was immediately unhappy. She opened her palm and her ice-profound force whistled through the air, sweeping up all the fallen leaves in the surroundings. With a bang sound, it smashed into a large tree at the side. This nearly 20-meter-tall tree was actually cut in half at the middle and came crashing down. "But can't I enter the forest of no return?" Si Kongyao asked with a smile. The old soldier was shocked and thought that this group of people was not simple. One of them was the #1 expert of the new generation in Tianji City, and the other was such a powerful young lady. The others who didn't make a move must not be simple either. Shang Qian smiled and said, "All right, Yao, don't make things difficult for them. Take out the pass of the battle temple." Si Kongyao giggled and took out a piece of paper from her pocket. She shook it and said, "Look carefully. This is the pass to enter the Forest of No Return personally signed by Tianji Sect's sect master, Sikong Ming. Is that okay?" The old soldier nodded repeatedly. Yes. The nearest path to enter the mountain is not far behind. I'll bring you there." "Okay, thank you." The veteran led the group into the mountain. The road at the foot of the mountain was covered in mud. After being soaked in the spring rain for a few days, it had turned into a puddle of mud. Most of the garrison regiment soldiers were wearing tattered straw sandals. Many of their soles were even worn out and dripping with blood. Lin Muyu urged her horse to walk side by side with the old soldier. She asked softly, "Sergeant Commander, logically speaking, the Empire's military strength is so strong. The important task of guarding the Forest of No Return shouldn't be carried out by the new recruits. Why is that?" The old soldier sighed. "Young master, you may not know this, but a month ago, the entire Tianji Empire issued an edict. All the major armies began to train and prepare for war. God knows what is going to happen. Everywhere is crazily capturing people to become new recruits. The elite troops of the 4 major armies have been sent to garrison somewhere. It looks like a war is going to happen, and it is going to be an unprecedented war." "Oh," Lin Muyu nodded. "Are they going to fight the Celestial Empire or the Blackstone Empire? That is His Majesty the Sacred Emperor's business. How can we soldiers know? We will fight whoever His Majesty wants us to fight." Zhuang Xiaoyu smiled slightly. "Young hero, why are you asking about these military matters? Logically speaking, as a ranger, shouldn't you be asking about the Tianji sect and the Dragon Riders?" Zhuang Xiaoyu was actually so vigilant. Lin Muyu smiled faintly. "I'm just curious. If these new recruits fight against the demon spirits, they are simply going to die. It is too unbelievable." "That's true." Zhuang Xiaoyu looked up at the sky and said, "But His Majesty and the Marshal must have a reason for their decision. People like us should not speculate about it." Lin Muyu continued to remain silent. Not long after, they entered the Forest of No Return. Just like what the outside world said, the Forest of No Return was abnormally dangerous. Lin Muyu closed her eyes and let the war horse follow Si Kongyao's horse. Her hand held the reins, but her spirit pulse technique was already fully activated. She quickly detected some of the stronger auras nearby. Less than 3 miles away, there was a stronger aura. It was at least a demon lord-level demon spirit. It seems that this night will not be peaceful. Zhuang Xiaoyu glanced at Bai Mingjie, smiled and said, "Young prince, half a year ago at the chrysanthemum viewing banquet, we did not have a clear winner. How about we compete again this time?" Bai Mingjie faintly smiled. "Xiaoyu, how do you want to compete?" Zhuang Xiaoyu took out an exquisite bag from his waist, shook it, and said, "This is the bag I used to store demon spirit stones. It's still empty. From now until we leave the forest of no return, we'll see whose bag has more demon spirit stones, and who is stronger. We'll compete based on the quality of the demon spirit stones. How about it?" "Huh, that's exactly what I was thinking." Bai Mingjie readily agreed and said, "But once a demon spirit appears, it belongs to the capable. Brother Xiaoyu should understand this logic, right?" "Of course." Zhuang Xiaoyu nodded. "If it's a demon spirit that young prince likes, I, Zhuang Xiaoyu, will not compete for it." "Good, it's a deal." At this moment, Shang Qian's pair of beautiful eyes swept over Lin Muyu and Lu Bai. She then smiled and said, "Since it's a competition, the more people, the better. I heard from Yao that this young hero's strength is above Yao's. If that's the case, why don't you participate in the competition together? The three of us can compete to be the strongest in our group. How about it?" Si Kong Yao was a little excited. She looked at Lin Muyu, her eyes full of encouragement. Lin Muyu groaned inwardly. This Shang Qian was really not a simple woman. Shang Qian just wanted to see how capable she was. With just a few words, she was unable to reject her. Lin Muyu nodded. "I'll participate then." Zhuang Xiaoyu said, "That's good. A competition between three people is even more interesting. But, since it's a competition, shouldn't there be a prize?" "Yao, Miss Shang Qian, what kind of prize do you think would be the best for the winner of the competition?" Si Kongyao said, "Gold? Isn't that too vulgar?" Zhuang Xiaoyu smiled and denied. "Then a Demon King level demon spirit stone? It's a little shabby, and it doesn't have any practical meaning." This time, it was Bai Mingjie who denied it. His gaze kept wandering around Shang Qian's body. Obviously, Bai Mingjie was also one of Shang Qian's pursuers. He came here because of Shang Qian. His goal was very simple. Si Kongyao saw through his thoughts. She lightly smiled and flew up, landing behind Shang Qian. She hugged Shang Qian's waist and giggled. "Little girl, what do you want to do?" Shang Qian couldn't help but laugh. Si Kongyao grabbed the elegant cloak behind Shang Qian and said, "This cloak has the Empire's emblem pattern personally rusted by Big Sister Shang Qian. It's also Big Sister Shang Qian's beloved item. How about this? Big Sister Shang Qian will sacrifice herself. Whoever wins the competition, Big Sister Shang Qian's cloak will be given to that person. How about it? This idea isn't bad, right?" Bai Mingjie clapped his hands and smiled. "That's great." Zhuang Xiaoyu was a little embarrassed. "I just don't know what Miss Shang Qian thinks." Chapter 754. Shang Qian's face turned red. How can I give you my personal clothes? For the women of Tianji Empire, giving away personal clothes meant tacit acceptance of the other party's affection. This naturally had a deep meaning. Moreover, Si Kongyao had her own little plan. She hoped that Lin Muyu could win this robe. In this way, she could matchmake Lin Muyu and Shang Qian. Then, she would be able to keep Lin Muyu in Tianji sect. However, Lin Muyu was holding the reins with both hands and looking forward. She allowed the dew on the branches to drip on her shoulders. She was as tranquil as water, as if there was no one else around. Her handsome side profile was indescribably pleasing to the eye. Si Kongyao almost couldn't bear to move her eyes away when she saw him. She couldn't help but question her original intention. It seemed that this man was really good. Why did she have to give him to Shang Qian? However, Lin Muyu didn't seem to be interested in her at all. Was it because she had a flat chest? Si Kongyao lowered her head and looked at her chest. It was unfair. But, thinking of this, Si Kongyao couldn't help but pout. Her heart almost collapsed at this moment. As a result, the competition agreement was made. The final winner would be determined by the quality and quantity of the demon spirit stones. 1 Demon Emperor level Demon Spirit Stone was equivalent to 3 Demon King level Demon Spirit Stones, and 1 Demon King level Demon Spirit Stone was equivalent to 3 Demon Venerable level Demon Spirit Stones. According to this calculation, the person with the highest points would get the robe that Xianxia was wearing. Xianxia didn't object, which meant that she had tacitly agreed to this agreement. The winner of this competition would be the person she had tacitly agreed to love. This was the dream of many playboys. Shi Tianming was silent at the side. His face was ashen. He wasn't qualified to participate in this kind of competition. Not to mention the Demon Spirit Stones, it would be difficult for him to fight against a Class 4 Demon Spirit. If he encountered a Demon Venerable, Demon King, or Demon Emperor level Demon Spirit, he would be instantly killed. This also meant that he was destined to get nothing. Young hero, Shi Tianming suddenly said in a low voice. What's the matter, young Master Shi? Lin Muyu asked with a smile. If you win, can you give the robe to me? Shi Tianming asked. Lin Muyu smiled meaningfully, but even if you get the robe, you won't be able to win Miss Xianxia's heart. What's the use of that? Besides, she'll definitely be tired of this. Instead of that, it's better for you to remain calm throughout the journey and deal with everything calmly. Even if you're not strong enough, you can't let her look down on you. In this way, perhaps she'll look at you in a new light. After all, you're the son of the Minister of War. Isn't your status very high? Shi Tianming was suddenly enlightened. He had a respectful look on his face as he said, Young hero, you're indeed someone who's detached from worldly affairs. Your words have enlightened me. I get it now. I get it now. Young hero, you have a unique understanding of picking up girls. You're far better than those young masters from the prestigious clans in Tianji City. I'm very impressed. This, Shi Tianming's praise almost made Lin Muyu blush. Si Kongyao, who was beside her, also giggled. Lin Muyu's voice was neither loud nor soft. With Si Kongyao's cultivation, it was not difficult for her to hear it. Xianxia's cultivation was also not bad. However, she still calmly spurred her horse forward, as if she hadn't heard it at all. In the blink of an eye, night fell. The night in the forest of no return became even more gloomy and terrifying. Lin Muyu and Lu Bai lit a torch and walked in front, looking for a suitable campsite. After all, although Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie's cultivation was high, they might not be very good at camping in the wild. These new talents from prestigious clans almost grew up soaking in a medicine vat filled with demon spirit stones. They were a far cry from Lin Muyu, a god state expert who fought and killed her way up. Let's choose that place. Lin Muyu pointed to a triangular trough-shaped valley in front of them and said, Shall we camp here tonight? Zhuang Xiaoyu frowned and said, It's low-lying and humid here, and the field of vision is not wide enough. Why do we camp here? Lin Muyu smiled slightly and said, Because it's close to the water source. If it's only close to the stream, I'm afraid it's better on the top of the mountain. Zhuang Xiaoyu seemed to be very impatient and said, I think we'd better camp on the top of the mountain. It's dry and comfortable. Yao, Miss Xianxia, let's go over there, shall we? Obviously, he was unwilling to accept Lin Muyu's arrangement. After all, as the son of the premier of the cabinet and the #1 new master in Tianji City, he was not willing to be manipulated by a nobody like Lin Muyu. Xianxia said with a smile, There's no hurry. Let's listen to why you choose to camp here. Lin Muyu said, It's very simple. There are a lot of spirit beasts and wild beasts in the forest of no return. I think you can also feel their restless breaths. The reason I chose here is very simple. It's downwind, and our breaths will stop in the camp. If we choose the top of the mountain, where it's upwind, the wind will send our breaths to the wild beasts and demons, and they will naturally find us. Even if we are not afraid of demons, at least we need a good night's rest to recover our spirits for tomorrow's adventure. Zhuang Xiaoyu was dumbfounded and couldn't refute. Xianxia couldn't help looking at Lin Muyu again and said with a smile, Young hero, you're really knowledgeable. Let's choose to camp here. Si Kongyao came to Lin Muyu with a smile, helped him lead the war horse, and whispered in his ear, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. Powerful? Lin Muyu was silent. Those who have been in the wilderness for a long time or experienced hunters will understand this principle. Si Kongyao stuck out her tongue and said with a smile, but some people who think they are extraordinary just don't understand this principle. They still think they're very powerful, hee. She was talking about Zhuang Xiaoyu. Although they grew up together, it seemed that Si Kongyao didn't approve of Zhuang Xiaoyu's arrogant attitude. Lin Muyu didn't say much and just went around to pick some dry firewood. Lu Bai started a fire and started cooking. Zhuang Xiaoyu, Baiming Jie, Shang Qian, and the others were all children of famous families and didn't have much hands-on ability. Cooking could only be done by Lin Muyu and Lu Bai. Unknowingly, they had become the team's Spirit Fire division. However, it was all worth it. By interacting with these people, Lin Muyu could learn a lot of things that were hard to understand. At night, the 8 of them ate nearly 2 deer legs, venison soup, and the bread that they brought with them. It could be considered a very good meal. After eating, they set up a tent. Everyone was incompatible. Si Kongyao and Shang Qian stayed in the same tent, Chen Hang and Zhuang Xiaoyu stayed outside, and Lin Muyu, Lu Bai, and Shi Tianming's tent were the outermost. Hiding in the tent, Lin Muyu circulated her qi for 1 cycle. She felt that the spiritual energy in her qi si from refining the demon spirit stones a few days ago had completely transformed into her own energy. The assimilation period was over, so she took out another rank 5 demon spirit stone and started to refine it. In a short 2 hours, she had completely absorbed it, and her qi si felt full. Opening the tent, Lin Muyu floated up and landed on an old pine tree that protruded from the rock wall not far away. Her whole body was lying on top of the tree like an old man. Her aura was restrained, as if she had fused with the pine tree. The natural spiritual energy in the surroundings also gathered, helping her to assimilate the spiritual energy that had not yet been completely transformed and absorbed from the demon spirit stones. Using the 4th stage of the cultivating spirit art, 1000 tempering 100 refinement, Lin Muyu looked calm, but her qi si was endlessly churning. The external spiritual energy was constantly being refined and absorbed into her own supreme divine power. Only by cultivating like this could she continuously strengthen her own strength. After an unknown amount of time, suddenly, an aura appeared on the side. She didn't need to think to know who it was. Si Kongyao was sitting on the tree trunk above Lin Muyu's head. The distance between the two was less than 10 centimeters. A faint fragrance of a young girl drilled into her nose. Lin Muyu couldn't help but faintly smile. "Eldest miss, why did you come out?" "I'm bored, can't sleep." Si Kongyao swung her pair of slender and perfectly round snow-white legs and said, "Are you cultivating?" That. Si Kongyao wanted to say something but stopped. After a long time, she smiled and asked, "I don't know what your name is. I can't keep calling you young hero, right? One day you will know who I am. Eldest miss, please forgive me for keeping it a secret for now." So mysterious. Si Kongyao pouted her small mouth and said, "Then I'll still call you young hero. Tell me, how about it? What do you want to say? Tell me what you think of elder sister Shang Qian." "Elder sister Shang Qian is indeed as beautiful as a fairy, isn't she?" "Hee. The title of the #1 beauty in the Tianji Empire is not for nothing. What do you think? Do you like her? If you like her, I can put in a good word for you." "There's no need." Lin Muyu rested her head on her arms and looked at the bright stars in the sky. After the rain, the sky was like a clear stream, and countless stars and gems hung upside down in the sky, making people yearn for it. He said faintly, "If we're not on the same path, why should we ask to go together?" "If we're not on the same path, why should we ask to go together?" Si Kongyao repeated his words, and actually felt a little happy in her heart. She smiled and said, "So, you don't like elder sister Shang Qian?" This time, Lin Muyu directly admitted it. That's fine. I won't force it." Si Kongyao actually felt relieved. "Young Miss Si Kong, tell me about the 3 empires, please." Lin Muyu's voice was calm. "I'm cultivating in the deep mountains, so I know nothing about these things. I want to know about the history of the celestial pole continent and the current situation. About this, you've asked the right person. Si Kongyao smiled proudly. Grandpa is the sect leader of the Tianji sect, and he is often summoned by His Majesty. I've also followed him to the palace many times, so I'm quite familiar with the three empires. Yes, tell me. About this, it's a long story. Si Kongyao kept her in suspense and said with a smile, unless you tell me what your surname is, otherwise, I won't tell you. Is this a deal? Yes, sort of. All right then. Lin Muyu couldn't help but smile and said, my surname is Lin. Si Kongyao muttered, what a rare surname. Chapter 755. Who said it's rare? There are many people with the surname Lin in my hometown. For example, Lin Yueru, Lin Fan, Lin Wan, so many. Lin Muyu argued, but suddenly felt that it was unnecessary. It was impossible for Si Kongyao to know these people. Fine, so be it. Why are you so serious? Si Kongyao giggled. Do you still want to listen to the relationship between the three empires? Listen, tell me. Okay. She sat up straight and pulled the front of her clothes to prevent her 34C from catching a cold. Then, she said, the three empires have each existed for more than 20,000 years. During these 20,000 years, there have been endless disputes and wars. Every 1,000 years, there will be a large-scale war between the gods. This is the era when the three empires are fully developed. I heard from the older generation that there used to be nearly 100 Saint Martial gods when the continent was at its most prosperous. Nearly 100 Saint Martial gods? Nearly 100 God Emperor level experts? Yes. Si Kongyao tucked the hair in front of her chest and continued, I heard from the old people that the celestial pole continent is a land that is protected by the God realm. Many people on the continent are practitioners who descended from the God realm. The emperor of the Tianji Empire used to be from the God realm, but for some reason, Di Lin came to the mortal world to cultivate and succeeded as the emperor of the Tianji Empire. According to the ancient records, a main god from the Western God realm once came to the celestial pole continent. Her name was Shi Yan, and she was a top god at the level of a seraph. However, these are all legends, and no one knows whether this is the case or not. Ever since I can remember, I don't think I've seen a god from the God realm who descended from the God realm. Shi Yan a seraph? Lin Muyu frowned. The situation was getting more and more complicated. The celestial pole continent was indeed not simple. No wonder even the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao were helpless and couldn't help her. Si Kongyao swayed her long legs and continued, the three empires have been fighting with each other until now. Now, the three empires are showing signs of rising again. All the forces are accumulating power and preparing to go. They are vigorously building the Dragon Rider army for the sake of war. What hunting demon spirits? That's just a lie. At present, it seems that the Heaven Jew Empire has the most land and the most military strength. However, the Tianji Empire's military strength is the most elite. They also have the most sacred warriors. Therefore, in terms of military strength, the Tianji Empire is the strongest. But what? Si Kongyao smiled and said, however, the Celestial Empire has always wanted to replace the Tianji Empire and become the new overlord of the continent. After all, they have the most land and the most population, so they have the qualifications. The current emperor of the Celestial Empire is Chen Hai, but his cultivation is very low. He is addicted to wine and women, and his body is very weak. I don't think he will live for many years. Chen Hai has 2 sons. The crown prince, Chen Qian, is similar to his father. He is also addicted to women and does not have the will to improve. However, the second prince, Xin Yu, is different. He has many good friends and gathered a large group of people who are skilled in both the pen and the sword to serve him. Moreover, Qin Yu holds more than half of the military power of the Celestial Empire. People say that once Qin Hai dies, Qin Yu will definitely kill his brother and usurp the throne. And once Qin Yu ascends to the throne of the Celestial Empire, that day will be the day when the Celestial Empire and the Tianji Empire go to war. Qin Yu hates the Tianji Empire? Lin Muyu was puzzled. Si Kongyao nodded and smiled. In fact, it's very interesting. The most powerful sect in the Celestial Empire is the Celestial Extinction Sect, one of the 3 saint sects. The Celestial Extinction Sect has a saintess who was originally in love with Qinyu. But later, in order to maintain peace at the border, Qinhai decreed that the saintess be married to the emperor of the Tianji Empire, Bai Mingyuan, who is 7,000 years old. Qinyu hates Bai Mingyuan and his father. He will settle the score sooner or later, it's so complicated. Lin Muyu narrowed her eyes and said, in that case, the Celestial Empire and the Tianji Empire are most likely to go to war. Si Kong Yao lightly smiled. But it's hard to say. The Darkstone Empire has always been concealing its strength and biding its time for many years, and it's nurtured many troops. Even though it has a small population and the smallest territory, the Darkstone Empire's emperor, Shi Yuan, has worked hard to rule the empire, and he wholeheartedly wants to revive the empire's once flourishing era and allow the Darkstone Empire to become the new master of the continent. Shi Yuan has trained over 100 dragon cavaliers, over 20,000 beast cavaliers, and an army of 500,000 foot soldiers with a tiny territory of 3 provinces. It's sufficient to show how great his ambition is. How is the relationship between the Blackstone Empire and the Tianji Empire and the Tianji Empire? Not really good. They all have their own ulterior motives. Once there's a chance, I think the Blackstone Empire will attack the capital of the other 2 empires at all costs and take over the entire celestial pole continent. Oh, Lin Muyu asked tentatively with a smile. Miss, is the celestial pole continent the only continent under the sky? I don't know, but it seems that way so far. Si Kongyao smiled and said, why? Are you interested in the forces outside the 3 empires' territory? Tell me. The 3 empires' military power is enough to dominate the entire plain, but there are 2 other forces outside the 3 empires. One is the Wolf Valley, and the other is the Thunder Spirit tribe. Although they have fewer people, their power can't be underestimated. They have a lot of elite cultivators. The 3 empires have tried many times to rope them in, but to no avail. These 2 tribes are currently neutral. Oh, Lin Muyu responded and said, Miss, do you know the reason why the Tianji Empire gathered the 4 armies for training? I don't know. How would I know about these military matters? All right. Lin Muyu stretched her arms and said, I'm going back to sleep. You should sleep early too, Mississippi. Okay, I'm going back to sleep too. Back in the tent, Lin Muyu took out a map of the celestial pole continent from her Qiankuan bag. She bought this map for 1 gold coin, and it described the celestial pole continent in detail. It was like a treasure to her. She opened her palm lightly, and a faint celestial dragon crystal appeared, illuminating the map. This map had obviously been used many times. It was a little worn out, but it didn't affect observation. The Tianji Empire and the Blackstone Empire were in the east of the continent. Further east was the East Sea. The entire celestial pole continent's territory was huge. The celestial pole continent was very far from the coast, separated by the 2 empires. This also meant that the celestial pole continent couldn't directly send troops to the Shattered Cauldron realm unless the Tianji Empire or the Blackstone Empire asked for help. At present, it seemed unlikely that they would. Lin Muyu took a deep breath. She was worried. Feng Jixing and Tang Xiaoxi were preparing for war in the Shattered Cauldron realm. She had to buy enough time for them. At present, there seemed to be only one way, to make friends with the Celestial Empire. To fight against the Tianji Empire and the Blackstone Empire. This was the unique magic weapon passed down by the ancestors. Only in this way could they fight for a chance of survival for the Shattered Cauldron realm. Otherwise, the Qin Empire wouldn't be able to withstand the pressure of the 3 great war fortresses. After thinking for a long time, she finally decided to use telekinesis to send a message. And this time, she directly found Feng Jixing and showed the detailed description of the 3 empires and this map to Feng Jixing so that he could draw a new one according to his memory. In a short 5 minutes, using telekinesis to send a message through the plane almost exhausted Lin Muyu. She had used up nearly 80% of her divine power, and she was very weak. However, at this moment, Zhuang Xiaoyu's voice suddenly came from outside. Everyone be careful. The demon spirit is coming. Lin Muyu flew out of the tent. Sure enough, there was a snake-like thing dozens of meters away. There were 4 colors on its neck, and its demonic power was very strong. It was a Tier 4 demon spirit. Lu Bai, Chen Hang, and Shi Tianming didn't plan to participate in the battle, so they all held up torches to illuminate the surroundings. Zhuang Xiaoyu stood proudly in the air with a cloud under his feet. He smiled with his bare hands and said, "Young prince, are you going to fight this evil beast, or should I? It's a Tier 4 demon spirit." His tone was full of provocation. As a member of the imperial family, Bai Mingjie naturally couldn't tarnish the prestige of the imperial family. Moreover, he was a sacred martial venerable, so he couldn't tolerate any blasphemy. He raised his hand and drew his sword from his waist and said, "Let me do it." "Okay, I'll help young prince." At the side, Shang Qian, who was not far away, clenched her fist and said, "Hey, you guys haven't asked the other contestant, right? That young hero is also qualified to fight with the demon spirit." "No need." Lin Muyu waved her hand and said with a smile, "I'm not feeling well, let young prince slay the demon spirit. Many thanks." Bai Mingjie smiled cheerfully, raised his sword, and rushed over. His body was wrapped in a ball of raging flames, and when he swung his sword, it was a full ice attack. This young prince wasn't simple, he was actually a cultivator of the law of ice and fire. It seemed like his godhead was at least the heavenly Dao personality. Bang! In the midst of the dance of the ice and fire, the demon spirit twisted its head and used the horn on its head to block Bai Mingjie's attack. It opened its mouth wide and tried to swallow Bai Mingjie's waist, its speed extremely fast. "In your dreams." Bai Mingjie instantly disappeared, the demon spirit only bit his afterimage. This was the ability to shatter the void, and the long sword brought a pillar of fire down from the sky. Boom! The raging flames engulfed the entire body of the demon spirit, and fresh blood splattered everywhere. However, before Bai Mingjie landed, he suddenly felt a sharp pain from his waist. He had actually been caught off guard by the demon spirit's tail whip attack, and he had already spat out blood and rolled away. "Young prince!" Zhuang Xiaoyu was shocked. "Don't come over." Bai Mingjie flipped in the air and forcefully twisted his body. The long sword emitted a scarlet-red raging flame, and with a roar, he slashed out with his sword. This slash used at least 90% of his strength. Hiss, hiss, the demon spirit wailed. Half of its head was almost split open by Bai Mingjie just like that. After all, Bai Mingjie was a sacred martial venerable with the cultivation of the 11th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. It was more than enough for him to kill a 4th-class demon spirit, but he was actually injured, and this was somewhat embarrassing. After digging out the demon spirit stone and throwing it into the cloth bag, Bai Mingjie panted heavily and said, "This beast, I was careless and actually got injured." "Are you all right, young prince? Let me bandage your wound." Shang Qian said gently. "Thank you, Miss Shang Qian." Bai Mingjie's voice was gentle. Lin Muyu was silent. Fortunately, she didn't have to make a move just now. In fact, she had used up most of her divine power to transmit the message through telekinesis. Fighting this 4th-class demon spirit was still quite strenuous, and it would be best if she could avoid it. Chapter 756. Shang Qian skillfully bandaged Bai Mingjie's wounds in an instant. Bai Mingjie's face was slightly pale and his breathing was chaotic. His injuries were clearly not as light as he imagined. "Are you all right, little prince?" Zhuang Xiaoyu asked. "I'm fine, it's just a mere rank 4 demon spirit." Bai Mingjie shook his head. "I was careless." If you encounter any more demon spirits in the next 2 days, leave them to me. Little prince can heal himself." "Okay." Chen Hang, the head guard of the Shang clan, stood there with his arms crossed. His gaze was calm, as if he was disdainful of the Dark North clan's young generation. Just as Bai Mingjie had said, a mere 4th-tier demon spirit strength was only equivalent to the divine heaven realm. The reason why Bai Mingjie was injured was because he was not skilled enough and lacked battle experience. That was why he was injured in such a situation. Lin Muyu, on the other hand, did not say a word. She looked at the color of the sky and silently picked up some firewood, almost lighting up the campfire outside the campsite. Young hero, you sleep? Si Kongyao happily said, I'm used to staying up late, I'll keep watch today. No, I'll do it. Lin Muyu shook her head. I'm used to it. You guys sleep. Bai, you sleep too. Lu Bai naturally could not see that Lin Muyu's divine power was empty. Si Kongyao, Shang Qian, Zhuang Xiaoyu and the rest also could not see it due to the Spirit Pulse Art's concealment ability, so they all returned to their tents to rest. The night sky was filled with stars, and strands of mist fell to form dew, nourishing the earth. Lin Muyu floated back to the trunk of the pine tree. She hugged the Ice Origin sword in her arms and closed her eyes. She could cultivate on her own while keeping watch. The god-binding chains and the 7 luminaries' celestial gourd glowed faintly as they absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in the surroundings to replenish their master's divine power. Furthermore, if Lin Muyu used the spirit pulse technique, she would be able to sense danger even though she was in a light sleep. Fortunately, aside from this 4th-grade demon spirit, there wasn't anyone else disturbing them that night. However, after dawn broke, Shang Qian and Si Kongyao had already woken up. They woke Lu Bai up and began to cook breakfast. The breakfast was very simple. The cooked meat that was not eaten last night was put into the soup and reheated. Then, each of them was given 2 pieces of bread from Tianji City. After eating, they set off. After all, the journey was long. If they were delayed, it would take them 1 or 2 years to return to Tianji Empire. The morning sun shone on the forest, reflecting a dazzling radiance. Si Kongyao squinted her beautiful eyes as she followed behind Lin Muyu. Everyone was leading their warhorses. The mountainous terrain was difficult to traverse, and it was impossible to continue riding. Warhorses were only useful on flat ground. Oh no, there's no road ahead. Shi Tianming, who was walking at the front, suddenly complained, I knew it. There are thorns in front of us. What should we do? It's just a bramble forest, what's there to be afraid of? Bai Mingjie raised his eyebrows and said, just burn it. Burn it? Shi Tianming was dumbfounded. Yes, burn it. Bai Mingjie floated forward. Although he was injured, it didn't affect his divine power. His palm was enshrouded in a very pure power of the law of fire. He suddenly raised his palm, and suddenly, it was as if there was a rain of fire in the sky. The bramble forest hundreds of meters in front of them were all burning in the raging flames. It was like a natural disaster. Lin Muyu frowned and said, the wind is blowing towards the east, so the flames will definitely spread to the east. The east is a very dense forest. I'm afraid it will cause a mountain fire, it's fine. Zhuang Xiaoyu laughed and took out a fan from his waist. It was a purple gold fan. It was flowing with light and had an extraordinary aura. It was obvious that it was much more valuable than Lu Bai's Heaven's Secrets fan. Zhuang Xiaoyu gently waved the fan, and the power of the law of wind enshrouded it. He smiled and said, in this situation, we just need to change the direction of the wind. As he spoke, he shook the fan violently. Immediately, a whistling wind arose. Moreover, it was a gale that blew from all directions. It gathered all the flames in the bramble forest until the flames were extinguished. In this way, it would indeed not cause any more mountain fires. Wow, such a strong control of the law of wind. Shang Qian beamed with joy and sincerely praised. Zhuang Xiaoyu was naturally very pleased with himself. For him, the cultivators of the younger generation were all mediocre. There were not many who could reach his level of cultivation. And to be able to show off in front of the 2 goddesses he admired, this was naturally something that Zhuang Xiaoyu yearned for. Lu Bai and Shi Tianming also opened their mouths wide, marveling at Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie's ability to control their power. Only Lin Muyu lowered her head and didn't say anything. She held the reins and said, let's go. The fire has stopped, so we can go. The road ahead is slightly flat, so we should be able to get on the horse. Si Kongyao nodded, but looked curiously at Lin Muyu. She smiled and asked in a small voice, young hero, what do you think of Brother Xiaoyu and the little prince's cultivation? They are people who can call the wind and summon the rain. Not bad. Lin Muyu said in a low voice. What do you mean by not bad? Si Kongyao was astonished. Lin Muyu smiled and tried to lower her voice as much as possible. She said, it's very simple. This forest is the Tianji Empire's forbidden area. It's the legendary forest of no return. It said that there's a powerful demon spirit of the demon the arch level hibernating here. We should try our best to keep a low profile while we travel. It might not be a good thing to call the wind and summon the rain like this. Who can resist the demon the arch? What's more, we should be cautious when we are in danger and preserve our strength to deal with the danger that might come at any time. Si Kongyao seemed to be very satisfied with this answer. She nodded and said with a smile, yes, I totally agree. You are indeed different from the two of them. How so? Lin Muyu's interest was piqued. Si Kongyao hesitated for a moment and couldn't say anything. She pouted and said, anyway, we are different. Let's not talk about it anymore. They are already far away. Let's catch up. The mountain breeze was warm, the morning light was clear, and the air in the mountains was very fresh. Zhuang Xiaoyu, who was riding in front, couldn't help but laugh. It's been a long time since I came out for a walk. This scenery really makes one sigh with emotion. When I was young, I wandered around here and listened to my master's teachings to be careful. Now that I'm back, I realize that the monsters here are nothing more than this. That demon the arch is just a legend that no one has seen before. Bai Mingjie nodded and smiled. Yes. Zhuang Xiaoyu opened his folding fan with a whoosh. He waved it elegantly and said, Young Duke, I heard that Young Duke is talented in poetry and is known as the #1 among the new talents of the Dark North royal family. Why don't you recite a poem for such a beautiful scenery? Bai Mingjie laughed lightly. In terms of literary talent and martial arts, Brother Xiaoyu is not inferior. I don't dare to take the lead. Brother Xiaoyu, why don't you recite a poem first? I will naturally follow. Since that's the case, I will show my incompetence. This poem is titled With the Wind. Zhuang Xiaoyu took a deep breath and lifted his head to look at the mountains and rivers in the distance. He casually wrote a 5-word poem. The cool breeze echoes, the steed passes the hill. Laughing about entering the realm of immortals, the clouds of the 9 heavens flying. Good. Shangqian clapped and laughed. Young Master Zhuang is really talented. Zhuang Xiaoyu was very proud and laughed. Young Duke, it's your turn. Bai Mingjie pondered for a moment and said, the mountain gate appears on the peak of the clouds, the mist in the forest is cold and desolate. There is no place to seek immortals, only herb gatherers. Good. Zhuang Xiaoyu clapped and laughed. There is no place to seek immortals. Si Kongyao and Shangqian also laughed and cheered. At this moment, Zhuang Xiaoyu's gaze fell on Lin Muyu, who was silently hurrying along. He said, since it's a 3-person competition, would young hero like to compose a poem to liven things up? I'm not talented in literature, so there's no need, right? Lin Muyu said. Young hero, you don't have to be so modest. Judging from your words and actions, you must be an elegant person. Besides, your eldest Miss Si Kongyao's honored guest. The celestial pole continent has always advocated excellence in both literature and martial arts. How could young hero not know how to compose a poem? If you don't even know a poem, how could you be the honored guest of the celestial pole sect? Zhuang Xiaoyu was aggressive. Bai Mingjie also laughed dryly. Yes, young hero, you don't have to be so modest. I can compose a poem in the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. There's no need. Lin Muyu urged her horse forward and smoothly recited a poem. Under the pine tree, I asked the boy, saying that the teacher went to gather herbs. But in this mountain, the clouds are so deep that no one knows where. Everyone was shocked. After a while, Bai Mingjie clapped and said, good poem, good mood. I didn't expect young hero to be so talented in both literature and martial arts. Not simple, not simple. Little prince, you flatter me. Lin Muyu sneered in her heart. I'm familiar with 300 poems from the Tang dynasty. You guys want to compete with me in poetry? Isn't this the same as not taking the road to heaven but barging into hell? Zhuang Xiaoyu smiled indifferently. I only saw some similar literary talent. As for your martial arts, I wonder when I'll be lucky enough to see young hero's martial arts cultivation? You definitely will. Lin Muyu faintly smiled. At this moment, the divine power in his body had already recovered to about 60%. It wouldn't be a problem for him to fight. The problem was that he couldn't fight against a Demon King-level demon spirit. That would only be asking for humiliation. Furthermore, Chen Hang, who had the highest cultivation in this group, was at least a divine king. Even he didn't say anything. It was better for her to keep a low profile. Just at this moment, a rustling sound came from the bushes in the distance. They could faintly see the grass moving, instantly attracting everyone's attention. A guest has arrived. Zhuang Xiaoyu said coldly. That guest was none other than a pack of wolves. Lin Muyu's spiritual pulse technique had already sensed this pack of wolves. It's just that these wolves had low cultivation. Their necks were filled with patterns of 9 different colors. They were the legendary 9th-tier demon spirits. Their strength was at most equivalent to a 500-year spiritual beast in the Shattered Cauldron realm. It wasn't worth mentioning. The only thing that made people afraid was the large number of wolves. There were at least 30 of them. It's the hunting wolves. Si Kongyao lightly smiled and said, Our luck is pretty good. We met a pack of wolves on the first day. Chapter 757. Zhuang Xiaoyu held his purple gold fan and said with bright eyes, The young lord is injured. Leave this small character to me. Everyone, please step back. At this moment, a dang sound was heard. It was Shi Tianming pulling out his longsword. Young Master Shi, what are you going to do? Shang Qian was stunned. Shi Tianming lightly smiled. Since we are traveling together, how can I not put in some effort? Shi Tianming knows that his strength is incomparable to everyone here. However, how about leaving this pack of hunting wolves to me? Zhuang Xiaoyu smiled. Since that's the case, I'll leave this pack of wolves to young Master Shi. Swish, swish, streaks of gray scars rushed out. More than a dozen hunting wolves charged forward at the same time, launching an attack. Shi Tianming let out a low roar and leaped from his horse. King Do flames surged from both of his arms. He heavily slashed his sword down on the ground, causing the ground to split open. The raging flames sent a few hunting wolves flying as they howled miserably. With a pa sound, Shi Tianming waved his longsword. His entire body was like a golden bell plated with flames as he stood tall within the pack of hunting wolves. Wolf corpses flew out one after another. In the blink of an eye, more than 30 hunting wolves had all died under Shi Tianming's sword. When the flames dissipated, Shi Tianming's robes fluttered in the wind. There wasn't a single drop of blood on his body. Sure enough, a Holy King realm cultivator killing hunting wolves was as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. Young Master Shi, you're so skilled. Shang Qian cheered. Shi Tianming looked as if he had eaten honey. He stood there happily, completely dumbfounded. Be careful! Lin Muyu shouted. A cyan shadow descended from the sky and swept its sharp claws towards Shi Tianming's back. It was a huge hunting wolf. It's a hunting wolf king. Si Kongyao was shocked. A hound wolf king is different from an ordinary hound wolf. If a hound wolf wants to grow into a hound wolf king, it needs to cultivate for at least 5,000 years. Furthermore, the lowest rank of a hound wolf king is a 5th rank demon spirit. This hound wolf king's neck is densely covered with red, green, blue, white and black, 5 different colors. This already proves its strength. Clang. The moment Lin Muyu unsheathed her sword, she had already thrown it out. The Ice Origin sword was surrounded by the Dragon Flame's spiral destruction. With a pu sound, it pierced through the Wolf King's head and came out through the brain. However, there was no blood on the blade. The entire process was actually powered by the Fire God power. Boom! The Wolf King's corpse fell to the ground. Shi Tianming turned around and saw it in a daze. He was scared out of his wits and hurriedly said, That was close. Thank you, young hero, for saving my life. Lin Muyu opened her palm, and the ice origin sword that was spinning rapidly in the air returned to its scabbard after a few turns as if it had a mind of its own. With a ding sound, the people around her were surprised. This kid can actually control a sword? Zhuang Xiaoyu's heart sank. The imperial sword technique isn't some rare martial art. However, the imperial sword technique will definitely weaken the piercing power of the sword. However, this kid actually used the imperial sword technique to kill a 5th-grade demon spirit. Isn't this a little too shocking? Chen Hang, who was behind Shang Qian, was also silent. His pair of eyes were staring at Lin Muyu. At this moment, Chen Hang had already started to pay attention to this unfamiliar kid. He's not as simple as he looks. He's simply hiding his strength. Among the crowd, only Si Kongyao and Lu Bai, who have seen Lin Muyu's strength before, were not surprised. He could even kill the Demon King rank dummy, so what can a mere 5th-grade Wolf King do? Every grain returns to the warehouse. Lin Muyu walked up and took the Wolf King's Demon Spirit Stone and said, "Let's go. There's still a pack of wolves in the north. Once they smell the blood here, they will immediately come over. We have to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be very troublesome." Si Kongyao nodded. After a whole day of traveling through the forest of no return, they encountered 2 5th-grade demon spirits, which were easily killed by Zhuang Xiaoyu. Aside from that, there were also some ferocious beasts, which were naturally left to Shi Tianming to deal with. After all, Shi Tianming needed to have a chance to show off. This kind of help was something that Lin Muyu would definitely be happy about. However, what made people sad was that Shang Qian didn't seem to be in love with any of the 4. Although she wasn't stingy with her words of praise, it was only superficial. When night fell, they decided to continue camping. Traveling in the forest of no return at night is a very dangerous thing. After finding a suitable place to set up camp, a tent was erected. Lin Muyu helped Lu Bai to prepare dinner. After all, she wasn't the noble Emperor Qin here, but a wandering young hero. She couldn't be like Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie, who had everything she needed. After a day of traveling, everyone had arrived, but Lin Muyu had already recovered all of his divine power. The sovereign godhead was constantly absorbing the spiritual energy between heaven and earth. This kind of recovery speed was incomparable to the other 4 grades of godhead. Even the overgod godhead wouldn't have such a powerful recovery power like the sovereign godhead. It was also because of the sovereign godhead that Lin Muyu still dared to come to the celestial pole continent alone to explore. One must know that this continent was filled with crouching tigers and hidden dragons. How many God Emperor level experts stood proudly in a region? If one offended any one of them, one's life would probably be in danger. It was also because of this reason that Lin Muyu had always been relatively low-key. If trouble didn't come knocking on his door, he would definitely not go looking for trouble. Obviously, Shi Tianming was such a trouble. Not far away, Shi Tianming held a water bottle and knelt on the ground on one knee. Half of his body stood there strangely. He said, "Miss Shang Qian, would you like some water?" Shang Qian didn't take the water bottle. She just smiled and said, "Thank you, young Master Shi. I brought my own water." On the side, Chen Hang passed Shang Qian's water bottle to her. Shi Tianming looked resentful, but he still didn't give up. He said, "When we were in Tianji City, my father always praised you when he mentioned you." "Oh really?" "Yes, Mrs. Smart and Pure. Moreover, you have reached a certain level of attainment in martial arts cultivation. At such a young age, you have already entered the ranks of the sacred martial warrior level experts. In our Tianji Empire, which young girl can be like Miss Shang Qian?" Shi Tianming's face was full of sincerity. Unexpectedly, Si Kongyao, who was carving a branch with a knife, smiled and said intentionally or unintentionally, "I'm 2 years younger than Sister Shang Qian. I'm a sacred martial venerable with the cultivation of the 27th Grotto Heaven realm. Is there a problem?" Shang Qian chuckled. Shi Tianming was rebuffed, but he couldn't blame Si Kongyao. After all, Si Kongyao's beauty was not inferior to Shang Qian's at all. It was just that her background was too powerful. She was the beloved daughter of the continent's #1 expert, Si Kongming. She had extraordinary talent and was already one of the strongest sacred martial venerables in the empire at such a young age. Who dared to pursue her? It was also because she was too outstanding that Si Kongyao seemed to be alone. Although she was proud and arrogant and didn't want to marry these ordinary people in the celestial greatness continent, it was a girl's nature to enjoy the feeling of being pursued. In particular, outstanding girls needed to be protected and pursued even more. In the end, no one was pursuing Si Kongyao now, which made her feel very lonely in the bottom of her heart. Thinking of this, Si Kongyao glanced at Lin Muyu beside her. However, Lin Muyu scooped a spoonful of soup and tasted it. She frowned and said, "It's salty. Lini, do we not need to pay for our salt? You wastrel." Lu Bai grinned and said, "How can I completely control the amount of salt in such a big pot? You're awesome. If you're not convinced, you can cook it for me." "No, I'm convinced." Lin Muyu put her arm around Lu Bai's shoulder and said with a smile, "Don't be so stingy. I just said a few words and you're already challenging me. You're too fragile. How can you cultivate to the level of a sacred martial warrior with such a state of mind?" Lu Bai touched his nose with a resentful expression. Si Kongyao couldn't help but chuckle. It seemed that it was impossible for this guy to pursue her. In fact, Si Kongyao felt that even if she chased after him, this guy might not buy it. This crazy handsome man was simply unfathomable. When she thought of this, Si Kongyao could only sigh. She really had a hard life as a beauty. After dinner, Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie went to the mountain ridge to compare martial arts. As for Lin Muyu, she found a tree nearby and sat on the trunk to receive the starlight. She practiced the spirit refinement art and the art of stars at the same time. The art of stars was the most difficult martial arts to practice. Even with Lin Muyu's talent, she only reached the 7th layer after 10 years of practice. As for the next 2 layers, she still couldn't get a glimpse of them. Now that even Lulu had disappeared, it seemed impossible to practice it quickly. The spiritual energy in her Qi was still in a saturated state. This also meant that she couldn't increase her cultivation by refining demon spirit stones today. Lin Muyu wasn't in a hurry. She continued to use the spirit refinement art to refine the energy in her Qi, trying to break through to the 23rd layer of heavenly passage. Si Kongyao didn't seem to want to stay in the tent. She sat on a rock not far from Lin Muyu and cultivated the ice profound art. Her body was surrounded by ice energy. This girl was indeed talented. It was really not easy for her to have this kind of advancement with just a heavenly Dao lattice. However, her background was really too big. In the future, Sikong Ming would most likely help her cultivate the caste Immortal lattice. After an unknown amount of time, the light of a torch suddenly flickered in the distance. In the distance, the neighing of a war horse could be heard. "What's wrong?" Si Kongyao opened her beautiful eyes and looked into the distance. Lin Muyu also opened her eyes in alarm. On the hillside, Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie, who were sitting on the ground, stood up at the same time and looked in the direction of the approaching people. There were a total of 3 torches, 3 people and 3 horses. They were all male. They were wearing shabby armor and dressed like mercenaries. "Or you don't come near." Zhuang Xiaoyu's voice was extremely penetrating, like a divine oracle. In the light of the torches, a middle-aged mercenary with a mustache said respectfully, "Young master, we were attacked by a pack of hunting wolves and lost 5 of our companions. Now we have wandered here. Please forgive us, young master. Just give us a few brothers some food." "You want food?" Zhuang Xiaoyu raised his sword-like eyebrows. "How would I know who you are? Get lost immediately. Otherwise, I will kill you." Chapter 758. The corner of Lin Muyu's mouth rose as she lightly said, "Big trouble has finally found its way to our doorstep." "What do you mean?" Si Kongyao stood up and leaped to Lin Muyu's side. "These few people aren't simple. Isn't it just a few mercenaries?" Si Kongyao's face was filled with confusion. Lin Muyu smiled. "They aren't as simple as mercenaries." As she spoke, Lin Muyu leaped forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with Zhuang Xiaoyu and Bai Mingjie on the hillside. She said, Young Master Zhuang, be careful. These 3 people aren't good people. Or rather, they aren't humans. What do you mean? Zhuang Xiaoyu's body trembled as he furrowed his brows and said, "Don't try to scare people." Could it be that young Master Zhuang doesn't know that high-rank demon spirits can transform into human form? Lin Muyu lightly said, "You're saying that these 3 people are high-rank demon spirits that have transformed?" Zhuang Xiaoyu was dumbfounded. In terms of strength, he might not be inferior to Lin Muyu by too much. However, in terms of experience, he was left behind by at least 10 streets. "This young master, you can't simply accuse us." The mustached mercenary pointed his finger and said, "We're all humans, how could we be demon spirits? You must want to kill us and steal our horses, right?" Lin Muyu lightly smiled. "Since you guys don't want to admit it, then I'll expose your tricks. Let me ask you, since these are your horses, why are they so restless?" "The horses were frightened by you guys. Even so, there are bloodstains on your sleeves. But you rolled up your sleeves and there isn't a single wound on your arm. So how do you explain the bloodstains on your sleeves? If I'm not wrong, it should be that the owner of the clothes had his arm chopped off by you, and his clothes were stolen by you, right?" "Don't slander us. Is that so? We'll know once we try." Lin Muyu opened her hand, and a golden 7 luminaries holy gourd appeared in her palm. Suddenly, gourd vines shot out from the ground and tied up the legs of the 3 mercenaries. There were sharp thorns on the gourd vines, which directly pierced into the skin, but there was no bleeding. This could only mean that there was no flesh under the skin, only a hard shell. "Brat." The mustached mercenary revealed a sinister smile. He lifted his hand and tore open his face. Under the skin was a terrifying demon spirit's face. He laughed evilly and said, "Even if you've seen through us, you humans who don't know the immensity of heaven and earth still have to die. I'll use your flesh and blood to pay tribute to the demon spirits that died under your blades." Demon King. Zhuang Xiaoyu was shocked. That's right, this demon spirit covered in shell was a Demon King rank demon spirit. There were only 2 colors on its neck, black and white, which was very eye-catching. At the same time, the 2 mercenaries behind him also took off their human skin and transformed into their original demon spirit form. They were 2 stooped monsters with tongues that were nearly half a meter long. One of them stared at Shang Qian and Si Kongyao in the distance and said, "There are actually 2 such beautiful girls. That's great. After we've dealt with the hindrance, I'll have a good time with these 2 girls." These 2 demon spirits had the strength of a demon venerable, and there were 3 colors on their necks. Sure enough, they've encountered big trouble. 3 high-level demon spirits that can transform into human form at once. They're practically a team. Dang. Lin Muyu's ice origin sword was already unsheathed. She lightly said, "Young Master Zhuang, how do we split them?" "Simple." Zhuang Xiaoyu licked his lips. His eyes were filled with battle intent as he smiled and said, "Leave this demon king to me. You and young master will each kill a demon venerable. How about it?" "Are you sure you can stop this demon king?" Lin Muyu smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I'll do my best." Zhuang Xiaoyu's eyes were filled with confidence. Bai Mingjie took a deep breath. Behind everyone, Chen Hang's eyes were golden. He was ready to take action at any time, as if he was facing a great enemy. After all, the 2 people in front of him were the son of the great minister of Premier and the son of a king. If either of them made a mistake, he wouldn't be able to escape the investigation. However, all this was secondary. Protecting Shang Qian's safety was the most important. In the whistling sound, the demon king fiercely pounced over. Its claws were like iron pincers as it grabbed Zhuang Xiaoyu's arms. The 2 turned into a ball of flames and fell into the valley behind them. They crashed into countless trees and even left a trail of fire on the ground. The shockwaves from the fight echoed in the forest. This was not a spar, but a life-and-death battle. "Kid, stop looking, your opponent is me." In front of him, the demon venerable with blood-red eyes laughed cruelly. In his eyes, Lin Muyu was already a dead person. "I know." Lin Muyu responded. In the next moment he disappeared from the spot. falling star steps allowed him to appear in front of the demon venerable like a beam of light. His left fist was infused with the power of chaos of the common life as he punched towards the demon venerable's abdomen. A deep blue light blossomed. The punch landed on the demon venerable's protective aura. Although it did not cause any damage, it forced the demon venerable back 10 meters. When it roared cruelly and raised its pair of blade-like arms, a ray of light fell from the sky. It was Lin Muyu's attack with the Ice Origin Sword. Jade Snow Frost. The second attack caused ice shards to dance wildly. The Jade Snow Frost almost froze everything in the surroundings. This attack froze the demon venerable's arms into ice. Lin Muyu raised his leg and heavily kicked out. Two luminaries' demonic dance. Arg! The demon venerable actually let out a miserable howl. Its body flew like a cannonball and crashed into the mountain, causing the entire mountain to tremble. At this moment, Si Kongyao and Shang Qian were already watching with their mouths wide open. Lin Muyu's battle was much more interesting than Zhuang Xiaoyu's. Lin Muyu was practically crushing the pitiful demon venerable. On the other side, Bai Mingjie swung his long sword and fought with another demon venerable. The demon venerable was the same species as the demon venerable that Lin Muyu was fighting with. It swung its blade-like arms to block Bai Mingjie's slashes and thrusts. It laughed cruelly and the aura around it became denser and denser. Pooh! In the blink of an eye, Bai Mingjie's shoulder was injured again. As a God State expert, he actually lost to a demon venerable. Go to hell, Tresh. The demon venerable roared and suddenly leaped forward. It wrapped its legs around Bai Mingjie's waist and opened its blade-like arms to grab Bai Mingjie's arms. It opened its bloody mouth and 2 rows of sharp teeth bit down. Bastard! Bai Mingjie roared furiously. The law of fire and divine power in his body was raised to the peak. He forcefully shook off the opponent's grip and kicked upwards with his right leg. Bang! The demon venerable suffered a blow, but Bai Mingjie was the one who suffered the pain. This kick didn't send the demon venerable's head flying, but it broke a few bones in his leg. The crisp sound was very clear. Arg! Bai Mingjie retreated in pain and even lost the ability to fly. Huff! The demon venerable charged over with a sharp expression. Its blade-like arms cut open Bai Mingjie's leg, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Young Lord, back off! A figure appeared in the sky. It was Qin Hang. He finally made his move. The fist wind was biting cold. A heavy punch landed on the demon venerable's neck. A total of 30 heavenly layers. The demon venerable was knocked away. Qin Hang didn't let it go. He kept kicking and punching. Golden lights burst out in the forest. Each of his punches contained 30 heavenly layers divine power. The demon venerable didn't even have the strength to retaliate. Finally, after a cracking sound, Qin Hang forcibly took the demon venerable's head from its body. Boom! A punch filled with 8 elements, 8 desolation power smashed the demon venerable into the mountain. The 5 elements, 8 desolation power was not something that the demon venerable could withstand. Moreover, Lin Muyu used 80% of her power in this 5 elements, 8 desolation. The Ice Origin Sword shone brightly and pierced through the demon venerable's throat, ending the demon venerable's life. Lin Muyu was breathing heavily. In order to make the demon venerable unable to retaliate, this series of attacks had consumed a lot of her stamina and divine power. After all, this was a demon venerable, not a low-grade demon spirit. She carried the demon venerable's corpse out of the cave. After taking out the demon venerable's spirit stone, she threw the corpse next to the demon venerable's corpse next to Qin Hang. She looked not far away and saw Bai Mingjie lying on the ground. Lin Muyu couldn't help sighing in her heart. With this kind of strength, he actually dared to call himself the #1 genius of the royal family. It seems like the Bai Ming family doesn't have many geniuses. Actually, thinking about it carefully, it's normal. Peerless experts like Bai Mingyuan and Bai Minghuan only appear once every few thousand years. And every generation only lasts for a few decades. Looking at the demon venerable's corpse, Qin Hang was a little stunned and asked, "You already killed it? What else?" Lin Muyu faintly smiled, pretended to be very tired and said, "But I don't have much power left." Chen Hang revealed a gratified smile. If this kid can still maintain enough power after killing a demon venerable, then this person is too terrifying. He's basically comparable to any Dragon Rider's sacred martial king in the Tianji Dragon Rider group. Shang Qian raised her head to look at Lin Muyu, who was standing in the sky. Her eyes flickered and her brows were slightly knitted. No one knew what she was thinking. On the other hand, Si Kongyao's expression was a lot simpler. She gave Lin Muyu a thumbs up. "Where's young Master Zhuang?" "He's still fighting." Shang Qian looked at the valley not far away. Zhuang Xiaoyu's opponent was a demon king. That's a powerful existence that's second only to the demon emperor in the demon spirit clan. It can't be underestimated. Everyone immediately flew over. Zhuang Xiaoyu might need their help to kill that demon king. Boom. Before they even got close, a small hill dozens of meters in front of them instantly crumbled. The wind power howled. How powerful was this power? In the wind, Zhuang Xiaoyu's crown had already been lost. His long hair danced in the wind. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. The long sword in his hand had actually broken into two, but his divine power was still condensed on the broken sword. On the other hand, the demon king's aura was extremely domineering. Although there were a few sword wounds on his body, they weren't fatal. Demon power lingered around him, and his battle intent surged. With a roar, he charged at Zhuang Xiaoyu again. Chapter 759. Boom! A huge pillar of flames soared into the sky. The Demon King's scorching attack actually burned the rocks in the mountain range into powder. Zhuang Xiaoyu, who was wrapped in a divine power wall, was lucky enough to survive. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and the long sword in his hand had already been shattered. He could only use his divine power to heavily smash the Demon King's lower jaw with the purple gold fan. "You must die for trespassing on the Demon Spirit Clan's territory." The Demon King's lower jaw had already been broken into two by the purple gold fan. Blood flowed out, but it still roared ferociously. Flame energy surged out of its body, instantly forming a flaming shockwave. "Be careful!" Si Kongyao exclaimed. She opened her palm and condensed ice mystic arts to protect Shang Qian. Lin Muyu raised her hand and slashed out with her sword. The cold sword light split apart the shockwaves and formed a wall, protecting Shi Tianming and Lu Bai behind her. Chen Hang looked at Lin Muyu's imposing manner and couldn't help but frown. "This kid is not simple. Should we help young Master Zhuang?" Shang Qian said worriedly. Si Kongyao's bright eyes stared at the battle between Zhuang Xiaoyu and the Demon King. She slowly shook her head and said, "No need. Big Brother Xiaoyu hasn't shown his true strength. This Demon King is definitely not his match. Furthermore, to a sacred martial venerable, self-confidence and dignity are more important than life. If we help him, it will be the same as insulting Big Brother Xiaoyu." But Shang Qian still wanted to say something, but Chen Hang, who was beside her, signaled her to stop. Just like what Si Kongyao had said, true experts all had almost distorted self-esteem. Especially in this kind of situation where they were evenly matched, they definitely couldn't help him. Otherwise, it would be a great insult. Swish, swish, swish. The purple gold fan constantly clashed with the Demon King's sharp claws, emitting rays of golden divine power. Zhuang Xiaoyu raised his power to the limit. The purple gold fan completely opened with a schwa sound, and a small ball appeared around Zhuang Xiaoyu. It was actually a spirit pearl of law. Lin Muyu was slightly startled. She had never imagined that Zhuang Xiaoyu's godhead would actually be a forged immortal godhead. This spirit pearl of law could increase his strength by at least half. It looked like this Demon King was going to die a miserable death at the hands of a Saint Martial Venerable. Hua hua! The purple gold fan swept out with a gust of wind. This time, the characteristics of the power were completely different. Moreover, the control over the laws of wind had been greatly increased. The destructive power contained in the wind was completely different from before. "They're finally here." Si Kongyao smiled and said, "The Zhuang family's 4 styles of wind god, the The first style, Piercing Gale. Amidst Si Kongyao's laughter, the Demon King let out a miserable howl. After its body was baptized by the gale, its scales flew off and blood gushed out. In an instant, it had already fallen into a disadvantageous position. Zhuang Xiaoyu's eyes were cold, and there was still a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He flipped the purple gold fan again, and his figure was like a fallen leaf in the wind. He floated with the wind, but it was in accordance with the laws of nature. When the purple gold fan fanned again, the power of the wind seemed to be compressed, condensing into the image of a wild green dragon that pounced straight towards the Demon King. Two styles of wind god, tornado coiling dragon. Si Kongyao's eyes were filled with excitement. Clearly, Si Kongyao's talent was extraordinary, and her attainments in martial arts far surpassed her peers. So much so that when she saw Zhuang Xiaoyu's 4 styles of wind god, she couldn't help but be excited. If it wasn't for the fact that the 4 styles of wind god was not a secret technique that was passed down to outsiders, Si Kongyao would have already learned it. Lin Muyu was silent. If she had used the 7 glorious stars transformation just now, she was afraid that with Si Kongyao's temperament, she would definitely pester her to learn it. As the tornado coiling dragon devoured, a kacha sound rang out, and the Demon King's arm broke into a cloud of blood. It was clear to see how powerful the tornado coiling dragon was. The Demon King's body was extremely tough, and even the stellar sword could not cut it. Thinking of the stellar sword, Lin Muyu couldn't help but be silent. She didn't know where Acatosaurus had sent the stellar sword to. The sword spirit of that sword was the sword elder. However, Acatosaurus had also grown up, so it must have had its own reasons for doing this. Roar, roar, roar. The Demon King was already one-armed, but it still roared at the sky. The flames swelled, as if its body would explode at any moment. At this moment, Zhuang Xiaoyu's handsome face appeared even calmer. Under the illumination of the flames, his eyes were filled with confidence. With a light wave of the purple gold fan, another storm flew up. It's the 3rd form, tearing heaven and splitting earth. Si Kongyao's small mouth gaped open as she looked at the surging storm in the valley. This was not a power that a mortal should have. If Zhuang Xiaoyu was just a bit stronger, he would be able to destroy the entire mountain range with a single strike. The Demon King's body was bathed in flames, and it attacked the wind blades. Zhuang Xiaoyu didn't expect the Demon King to still have the strength to fight back. The Demon King's sharp horn was pointed straight at his chest, and it was about to pierce through his heart. Bastard! Zhuang Xiaoyu raised his hand and slashed down with the purple gold fan. With a kacha sound, the sharp horn was broken. However, half of the Demon King's horn still pierced into his chest. The sound of bones breaking rang out, and a few of his ribs were broken. In a miserable state, Zhuang Xiaoyu activated his ability to shatter the void, and directly jumped tens of meters away. With a wave of the purple gold fan, he used the 4th form, Dimensional Slash. As soon as she saw the purple dimensional wind blade, Lin Muyu felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. That's right, Feng Jixing's dimensional wind blade was the same. It seemed that Zhuang Xiaoyu's understanding of the law of wind had already reached the same level as Feng Jixing. No wonder he was known as the #1 person among the younger generation of the Tianji Empire. There was no doubt about his strength. Roar, roar, roar. The Demon King had already used up the last of its life force in this attack. How could it still withstand the impact of the dimensional wind blade? In an instant, its limbs were disintegrated into a pile of minced meat. Only the Demon King grade Demon Spirit Stone was glowing with a dazzling luster amidst the minced meat. Brother Xiaoyu, are you all right? Si Kongyao leaped forward and supported Zhuang Xiaoyu's back with one hand so that he wouldn't fall into the mud. When she saw Zhuang Xiaoyu's face, she couldn't help but be shocked. At this moment, Zhuang Xiaoyu's face was pale and big beads of sweat kept flowing down. In order to kill this Demon King, he had already used up all his strength and even started to overdraft his life force. Yao, I'm all right. Take out the Demon Spirit Stone. Zhuang Xiaoyu closed his eyes and groaned painfully. The only thing he didn't forget was the Demon Spirit Stone. It seemed that he was very concerned about the result of the competition. Indeed, Si Kongyao's character was too wild. An ordinary man couldn't control her at all. Zhuang Xiaoyu had accompanied Si Kongyao for so many years, but he still couldn't win her heart. So, if he won the competition and gained Shang Qian's favor, then they would be a perfect match. If the Zhuang clan and the Shang clan joined forces, half of the imperial capital Tianji City would be under the control of the two clans. You're still thinking about the demon spirit stone. Si Kongyao pouted and took the demon spirit stone through the air. She stuffed it into Zhuang Xiaoyu's bag and said, "Are you satisfied now? You can go and heal your injuries." Then, Zhuang Xiaoyu's voice was weak and he actually fainted in the blink of an eye. "Brother Xiaoyu! Brother Xiaoyu!" Si Kongyao was anxious. She turned around and looked at Lin Muyu and said, "He's dead. Woo, he's dead." Lin Muyu's mind was filled with a million, "What the F*** CK?" She was speechless and said, "He's not dead, right? He's still breathing. Hurry and take him to rest. He needs rest now." Zhuang Xiaoyu's cultivation is so strong, his body's ability to recover on its own is very strong. He just needs some rest and he'll wake up. Oh? Si Kongyao tested his breathing and said, "Lu Bai, Shi Tianming, I'll have to trouble you guys to help young Master Zhuang into the tent." Shi Tianming was resentful, but he couldn't ignore Si Kongyao's words. After all, he had followed her to train. Now that two of the three experts were injured, he couldn't just sit and do nothing. Thus, he and Lu Bai helped Zhuang Xiaoyu to rest, one on the left and the other on the right. Outside the tent, the sky was gradually brightening. Another dawn was about to arrive. Lin Muyu moved the branches to keep the bonfire from extinguishing. Hugging the ice origin sword, his handsome figure looked indescribably lonely under the light of the fire. "Young hero." A sweet voice sounded behind him. It was Shang Qian. She sat opposite Lin Muyu with her arms around her knees and said, "You're still not sleeping?" "I can't sleep." "Why isn't Miss Shang Qian sleeping either?" He continued to move the firewood. "I can't sleep either." Shang Qian frowned and said, "There are 8 of us. Young hero you, Zhuang Xiaoyu, and young Prince Baiming have the highest cultivation. Now that young Master Zhuang and young Prince Baiming are both heavily injured, I'm afraid we won't be able to continue our journey in 2 or 3 days. We need to stay here for a few more days. I'm afraid we'll have to rely on you to guard the next few days." Lin Muyu's words were very indifferent. Shang Qian was a very thoughtful woman. With just a few words, she managed to bring Qin Hang, a sacred martial king-level expert. In reality, the strongest person in this group should be the taciturn Qin Hang. As for Zhuang Xiaoyu, he had enough strength, but his ability to fight and kill in battle was much inferior. "Young hero, can I ask you a question?" Shang Qian asked. "Yes, miss, please ask." The flickering fire shone on his face. His facial features were distinct and filled with determination. "What was the martial art you used to kill that demon lord?" Shang Qian paused and said, "I could feel that kind of tyrannical and destructive power. Even Zhuang Xiaoyu's divine wind extremity pales in comparison. Although Shang Qian's cultivation is low, I have some understanding of the martial arts of the various sects in the celestial pole continent. Young heroes' martial arts are different from the mysteriousness of the Tianji sect, the tyranny of the Thunderflame sect, and the gentleness of the divine extremity sect. If I may be so bold as to ask, which sect did young hero hail from?" Lin Muyu was silent for a few seconds. Looking at the flickering flames, she said, "I followed my master and only cultivated my mental state. As for the specific martial arts, I created them myself. I don't belong to any sect, so there's no need for Miss to continue asking." Shang Qian was given the cold shoulder, so she didn't continue to ask. At this moment, Shi Tianming's attentive figure appeared and said, "It's going to be dawn soon. I wonder what kind of soup Miss Shang Qian would like to drink? There are quite a lot of wild vegetables and fruits in the deep mountains. You don't have to worry about not having ingredients for the pot. As long as Miss says what you want to eat, I'll naturally find it." Shang Qian's expression was lonely. Anything is fine. After saying that, Shang Qian turned around and went in the direction of the tent. Shi Tianming was stunned. Young hero, did I do something wrong? Why is Miss Shang Qian always so cold to me? I don't know either, Lin Muyu smiled slightly. Perhaps young Master Shi should also learn to give up. Some things can't be forced. No, I must get her, Shi Tianming said proudly. It was unknown where his confidence came from. You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.